Hello, everyone, and welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 102. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Brett Murdoch,
Hello, party people.
Carlos Romero,
What's up?
and Toothless.
Hello, guys. Let's go find 11.
Oh, man. By the way, yeah, these guys were talking about Stranger Things. Apparently, Manny looks like the guy from that show.
Yeah, the kid Dustin in the show. For some, what I have on now, the green hat with the friggin' white shirt, somehow looks like the kid from there. It totally does look like him. Except, no, I'm friggin' Master Roshi or whatever the fuck this shit is from Dragon Ball. Yeah, that's what that is.
Yo, Carlos, I see your tweet there. Why is it that Throwdown always does this shit? When we go live, it throws into some weird fucking language.
I don't know.
Saya Memulakan Penstreamon Longsudi. That apparently means we're live.
So that means
I think I did summon a demon.
I thought you were singing. I thought you were saying the spell for substitutionary locomotion from Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
No, yeah, but you need to say that more dramatically, Tony.
You mean Saya Memulakan Penstreamon Longsudi?
Perfect.
That works. Yeah, there you go.
I probably butchered the shit out of that.
That's much better than Tragona Makoitis Laporum Satus D.
Apparently that's Malay, that language.
I apologize to any of our Malaysian listeners for butchering the fucking language. We do have Malaysian listeners, by the way. I checked it out myself.
Yeah.
So Chris will be joining us a little bit later. He said he's running late and stuff, so he'll jump in here probably. He's going to definitely talk shit about Nintendo this episode. I guarantee you that. All right. Before we start, quick shout out to Enrique from Basement Radio Arcade. We had him on the show. He was a really good guest, man. He just fit naturally into the show, you know?
Yeah.
I think it also helps that he's our age.
Yeah, he's within the same age range. It's not like he's not like he was 20.
Yeah, no, he's like 39, so he's closer to Chris's age, you know?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And then the next thing, you guys, man, Manny and I were talking about the contest, right? Like we're having problems with the contest because people are too young. They may not know shit. So we put this piece of a song on for the MP3. Nobody got it. Okay, you know, the chance to win this console war. I just finished reading the book. No more bookmark there because I finished it. Fantastic fucking reading, man. Even though it's very, very upsetting at the end, the way the book ends, because obviously Sega just fucked everything up, you know? No, you're going to release the Saturn now early, even though people still like the Genesis. All this dumb shit, you know? So what we're going to do for this episode, we're going to play you the entire song from a Genesis game. I don't know if we're going to do that Genesis game or another easier one, you know? And I'm going to revise the contest a little bit, you know, but we'll talk about that at the end of the show. But what we're going to do is after we give this book away, right? Well, not this book, this is mine. We give our second book away. We're going to take a little bit of a break for that to introduce a new contest. Manny, what do you have for the people?
I have this. This is my Join the Genome Army Liquid Snake piece. But there's a little something extra here. I actually went to a convention called RetroCon here in Pennsylvania, where I'm currently living, and Cam Clark, the voice of Liquid Snake, was there. So I got an additional autograph for the fans. So whatever we decide to do, as far as giving it away, you will get a print by me and signed by Mr. Liquid Snake himself, Cam Clark. Thing about Cam Clark you got to know is, he literally voiced your childhood.
Well, their childhood or ours?
He voiced our childhood, but he might have voiced a lot of your childhood there too, because he was the original voice of Leonardo. He was the original voice of Kaneda in what was it, in Akira. He was also the voice of Max Sterling in Robotech, or Macross, if you want to call it. He's appeared in so many different other things. He's also the voice of Liquid Snake. He's was in Rocko's Modern Life, which a lot of you guys remember. He played the turtle in there.
Filbert.
Yeah, he played Filbert in that show. So he has over 300 voice and acting credits. So he's been around
crazy.
A lot. I literally showed up to him and I'm like, I got something signed myself, obviously. So let me show you what that is.
What you got, man? You got stuff?
So, I got stuff.
What's up with that hat?
It's to cover my incredibly stupid looking hair right now. Anyway, so he was the main character in this game from 1990 called Rise of the Dragon. He played a character called William Blade Hunter, which the Blade Hunter games were essentially like point and click adventures, kind of they felt like Blade Runner games. So he played the main character, and I literally had to remind him who the character was because he didn't remember. He's like, I was in that, right? And I'm like, yep, you were the main character.
It's hilarious.
But I mean, come on. Like, if you have 300 credits, how many games and movies and things that he had been done since 1990 till now? That's a lot.
He's gonna forget. Yeah, he's gonna forget some of that shit.
He's gonna forget some of that shit. But yeah, he was like, "Oh wow, yeah, it looks looks great." He's like, "I'm that guy, right?" I'm like, "Yep." And then I told him, after I got the 2P, I gave him a copy of one of the Liquid Snake prints for him to take, and I told him, like, listen, if you ever want to use this piece as something cool for you to have people sign, I think it would be really cool, really something really cool for the fans of Metal Gear to have, to take away as a souvenir. He's like, all right, that sounds great. When I run out of these things that I have here, I definitely will go with something like that. And I gave him my card and all that stuff. We'll see if he called me. Who not? Whatever. But he at the end, he looked at the poster and he goes, so remind me what the Genome Army was again. And I'm like, the Genome Army is essentially your army in Metal Gear. They're a bunch of clone guys. Don't worry about it. You're the leader of them. And he's like, oh, okay.
That's funny.
Again, we think as fans, we think that we remember every single level of these sorts of things that we're into. But sometimes the guys that are just doing it, that are just doing the voices for it, they're just doing the job. They got the voice actor, the director comes over and is like, okay, I need you to say this, but angrier. And they'll be like, all right.
Isn't that kind of a testament to their talent, though? Like, you kind of sit back and think when somebody, when you hear the voice and the voice is so passionate, the voice cares so much, and you hear the heartbreak in the voice, you think that somebody is putting emotion into this, and it would be just this weird contextual thing to hear somebody be like drinking their coffee, be like, yeah, my parking space was totally full this morning. That was bullshit. All right, we ready to do this? No! And if you saw that as a kid, you'd be like, whoa, wow. Did
you just turn that on?
Yeah, like the people can just turn that on and jump into that spot, and then jump out of it and chit chat for a minute, read a magazine, and then jump back in and do another take, angrier this time. Like it's so yeah, it's a testament to them. It's just another day on the job. They can turn it on and off as they please. And so to you though, it was this big experience.
Exactly, and that's a lot of what happens to a lot of voice actors. That will be like, when they do sequels, they actually have to listen to the things that they did from the previous games because a lot of times they can't remember what they did. So they'll be like, so how did I do this again? Like, some of them obviously, they're people that they're so happy to have these sorts of characters, especially if you're if you do like a main character and it's one of those really popular games, obviously it's something they're going to remember. But if it's something like friggin' Rise of the Dragon, which is a 1990s game that really did okay for Sega CD and was also on PC, I'm not going to really remember that much about that game. But, that's that. I mean, but for some things like, you have guys like David Hayter, who's like that Solid Snake voice was like the iconic thing. He's obviously going to remember something like that. He's going to remember that voice that he did.
Yeah, definitely.
But yes,
so
one of you guys out there will be getting that.
But we're getting, not tonight though. We're going to do this on Throwdown episode 103, which is on Thursday. And I guess we'll figure out how we're going to give it away, because I like giving you guys challenges, but I guess we have to make a more age appropriate challenge, because apparently nobody played Sega Genesis around here. Jesus. One thing I'm going to do, though, just to open it up a little bit, even though it's going to sound a little shitty, I'm going to play that Aladdin song over my phone here for these guys to have a chance to,
Okay.
We got to expand it. All right, so let's get into it. Fan questions. So I kind of switched the order around a little bit, so it kind of flowed a little better. So nobody asked us this initially, so I threw the question in myself, but apparently the dude wanted to know about this as well. Okay, what do you guys think of quote unquote Lucky Palmer funding a company that creates memes and shit posts for the Trump campaign to use against Hillary Clinton. So yeah, this happened on Friday. It was discovered that Palmer Luckey, the creator of Oculus Rift, he was funding an organization that gave money to the that was like support aligned with the Trump campaign, and they created like a bunch of memes and shit posts against Hillary Clinton. And obviously, in this industry, you can't really be Republican and stuff, so people got on this as a bunch of companies are taking their support from the Oculus Rift away. It's getting really bad out there.
Shit.
Yeah, it's not so. Hey, Chris.
Hello.
What's going on, man?
Hey, not much. So I'm late.
All right, it's all good. We just got to our first question now. So yeah, Chris, why don't you start us off with this whole Lucky Palmer situation? What do you think of it?
Oh, there was an instant reaction by developers for Oculus because as soon as they found out he gave money to, I believe, Nimble America, which is a pro-Trump, like anti-Hillary meme super PAC or whatever you want to call it.
Well, does anybody know what these people actually did?
They create anti-Hillary Clinton memes and graphics and ads and all that stuff. That's what they do.
They take anti-Hillary memes and graphics and post them on billboards in public places.
Right.
So it's not even about like, and don't get me wrong, I don't like any of this kind of behavior, but it's not like shilling, which is when people basically it's not like shilling or astroturfing where you're placing people in public forums to try and sway opinion with fake personalities. That's not what they're doing, and they're also not trying to generate memes in an effort to flood the internet with anti-Hillary memes. It's neither of those things, and I'm not saying that because I'm defending them. I'm saying that because the reality is so much more dumb in the fact that they just want to actually take this bullshit from the internet and put it into the real world. Like not only will you see this shit on a web page as you're trying to get to an article you're reading, you're now going to see it on your drive to work. So it's this inconsequential, incredibly stupid money wasting tactic, and all it really does is show that A, he supports Trump, and B, that he threw money at this weird, stupid super PAC. But I do want to stress before everybody gets their panties in a bind, like, this isn't astroturfing, this isn't shilling, this isn't putting people on your message board that other people that are pretending to be other people to try and sway the opinions. That'd be like somebody coming in our comment section trying to talk about like, oh, this candidate or oh, that candidate, in an effort to make people on the forum board feel one way or the other, and while in fact this person is paid by a campaign, of which I would say that in fairness, God, it sounds like I'm supporting Trump here. I swear to God, you people, I'm not. Hillary Clinton is known to have done that. So I personally think Lucky Palmer, like, I think this is a shitty thing to do. But like, I don't understand like where people are getting so super mad about it, unless they're confusing it for the thing that Hillary Clinton already does.
No, they're not confused with Correct the Record, which is what you're referring to. Correct the Record is Hillary Clinton super PAC that goes on forums and Facebook and whatever and pretends to be what they're not, in order to thwart her opponents. She did that with Bernie Sanders in the primaries.
Yes.
They were deleting posts. They were getting people kicked off of Facebook, the things like that. Then it's not that confusion. It's just an association. So everyone saw that, oh, he's giving this pro-Trump group money. The instant reaction was he supports Trump, so he's a racist. Actually, one of the CEOs of the companies, I don't know if it's the Super Hypercube developers, one of them just flat out said, we're not going to support racism. They have made that leap to, he's giving money to pro-Trump campaign, therefore he's pro-Trump, therefore he's a Trump supporter, and therefore he supports all these the horrible things that Trump is talking about, or his supporters talk about. So they instantly assume he's racist and xenophobic, even though he has come out and said he's actually libertarian. and he said he was going to vote for Gary Johnson, but that's not what everybody's just ignoring that.
And to make matters worse, I don't know why they're reporting this, but sure, why not? Because they dug up everything on this man. Apparently, one of his other crimes is that his girlfriend is a supporter of Gamergate. Oh no, we have to destroy this man now. You know, he's giving money to a Trump campaign, and he's dating a Gamergater. God, you know, it's like
you know what? I have I have a problem with people kind of associating people's political beliefs with the things that they do. I feel like you should be able to look at the things that a person does and not be able to confuse what their personal political beliefs are. Has he at any point ever said, any of his beliefs as far as as far as who's going to vote for, whatever that before?
You said Gary Johnson.
Yeah, but that was after he said after.
But before that, no. Not only here's where it gets funny. I'm glad you asked that. Not only did he not ever talk about this stuff, but the thing is, they went on his Twitter. You know how you see what people like, oh, he liked that post from Trump. He liked that post about Gamergate. This lets you know everything you need to know about this man. I'm like, really? That's what we're stooping down to, looking at people's likes to base a character on them because of that? It's fucking crazy.
It's stupid. To be honest, listen, I know that friggin' Clint Eastwood is a friggin' crazy ass like Republican, but that doesn't mean he doesn't make good fucking movies.
Yeah, exactly. People don't know how to differentiate. Like, okay, he may believe something different, from you politically, but he may do something art-wise that you do like. Just because, his politics don't mesh with yours doesn't mean that the art has to be involved in it,
Exactly. So same thing with somebody like Mel Gibson. You may think he's a crazy friggin' like Christian nut. But all the fucking films he's ever made are great. Even the crazy Passion of the Christ film. It's well done.
Apocalypto was kind of shit, though.
I like Apocalypto. That's literally like a Mayan action movie.
Listen, this man is Mad Max, all right?
And that guy's Mad Max.
Hold up. I'm going to pull up my soapbox for just a second. Like, I do not understand, though, like, the people that are getting super mad about this, it doesn't make any fucking sense, because if you're getting mad about associations, there's other people who have actually done the things that you are criticizing these people of doing. I lost my train of thought. Stupid widow brain. It doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, that was it. So if you're mad because you're like, oh, they're changing the narrative. No, there are other people that are changing the narrative. And if you're mad at Oculus/Facebook, there are other reasons to be mad at Oculus/Facebook, like the fact that they're data mining everything that your pupils look at, like, and for how long you look at it. Like, they're literally like cataloging your brain and your reaction. So if you want to stand on your high horse, there's better reasons to stand on your high horse. And if you want to get mad about this company doing something shitty, there's better reasons to do that. The only reason that this seems like it caught fire the way that it does is it's mimetic in the sense that it's easy to say, like, oh, he supports Trump, he's a racist. That's what, like 6 words? Like 6 words to fucking condemn somebody. It's so easy to do. And this just points out the fucking problem with our society, all of us and all of you out fucking there. Like, it's too easy to over fucking simplify. Again, I'm not saying that you should give this guy an excuse. In my opinion, he's been kind of a shitty person, and the company that he's turned into and made such a profit with is definitely a shitty company. It's motherfucking Facebook. It's Mark Zuckerberg. They are spying on you, and he's sold out all of his original beliefs and all of his original promises to make this shit happen, as well as breaking promise after promise after promise to the people who originally supported him. Like, there's plenty of reasons to be mad at this fucker. But this is not a good one.
But this is, I don't know, I look at it like business. Like, they're not, it's not off of good faith that they're like releasing whatever.
Well, what about the failed launch, like the miserable failed launch of the first Oculus, and the fact that they had to go out and say, please don't judge us by our initial launch, judge us by the launch of the Touch. Like, no, you don't get to get away with revisionist bullshit history like that. Like, in every facet, Oculus has kind of tripped on its own feet, and like you choose the personal opinions of how somebody spends their money who when they're not at the job. Like, this wasn't Oculus that spent this money. This was a guy who works at Oculus, who helped found Oculus, spending his own money in his own free time. Like, everybody has the right to fucking do that. And as much as I don't agree with what he fucking says or what he fucking does not mean that I disagree with his ability to do so. And if you're digging for dirt, there's dirt fucking everywhere. And if you're digging for dirt in the moral sense of like, well, who's leading this campaign? Who's changing the narrative? Like, as Chris just said, there's correct the fucking record. Broad daylight. So either you're either looking for dirt on this company, of which there's plenty, or you're looking for moral outrage, of which there's plenty, but the two don't point at the person that you want it to. So you just kind of build this weird hyper thin narrative that actually has very little substance. And you use it to fucking attack somebody because it feels good, or because it comes from it's confirmation bias is basically all that this is. It's a big fucking steaming pile of confirmation bias.
Well, you know, there's two things going on here. So on one side, like you said, Brett, there's a huge overreaction from one side. It's not even his customers. This is from partners, right? This is from development partners. This is Insomniac and all these other studios pulling out of Oculus. Just like we think this is disgusting. Whatever the reasons are, they're stopping.
Well, no, the reasons are because they're virtue signaling dicktards. They didn't want to pull out when things were complex or when it was
because
a bad idea, because then it was hard to explain.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Obviously, it's business and it's about money, but. At the end of the day, also on his side, yeah, he's a terrible person for other reasons. Yeah, he sold out and whatever, Facebook. We've talked about that before. But he also has a responsibility as the head of a company or the figurehead. He's the face of Oculus, right? It's not the current CEO of Oculus. He is the face of Oculus. He's the guy who went on Time Magazine and did that dumbass photo shoot. He's the face of VR, right? And his actions affect not just Oculus, but the industry, and especially VR, going forward. And so when you do something this inherently stupid, it just shows how infantile, like how juvenile he really is. He's wealthy beyond belief now at 24 years old, but he's also not mature or responsible enough to handle that kind of wealth.
I don't know.
Yeah, because he's no. Hear me out. Like this. He has a responsibility now in the company, especially in this election. This is the oddest election we've ever had. And it has polarized people to a degree I've never seen in my life. So on that, like there's no election in the past that would ever affect game studios or business doing any business like whatever. If you voted for Mitt Romney in the last election, nobody was like, oh, you're terrible. No, there's no feelings like that, right? You make your choice. You choose Al Gore W, you choose John Kerry W, you choose Mitt Romney or Obama. You make your choice. This election though is not like anything before it.
But he didn't make this public though. Like it's not like he made a public declaration or a public donation. Like he made it privately, and people like hacked and dug up his personal information to find
well,
this.
Sure,
so,
yeah, absolutely.
But wait. So my question then becomes like, is despite how you feel, or despite how any of us feel about a candidate that he may or may not support, is it not within his right to privately support them and privately fund them out of pocket, off of the clock?
He can do whatever he wants, but it comes with consequences. He can go out and write a $10,000 check to the white nationalists, the KKK, and whoever he wants, right? But when that comes out, there are repercussions. There's a stigma that goes along with that. If he writes a check to this company that's this PAC that's associated with Trump, he is now associated with Trump. And what does Trump represent? Well, to every other sane person, he represents xenophobia, racism, and just ridiculousness. So that's what his association is, right? If he privately says, well, I'm going to fund the KKK, well, he could do that. Sure, he has the money. He could do whatever he wants. But then that has consequences, especially when you're the face of a company. You now have put the company in that same stigma that you have created. They can't separate the two.
I would
It's
agree
not-
with that, except for the fact that like he never said he was a Trump supporter. Like we said, he said he's supporting Johnson. Like there's just
Yes,
the
he had to come out
possibility.
later and say that, right? But it's too late. Everybody has already created the narrative that he's a Trump supporter. That was what was blown up Friday. It was all over Twitter. There was multiple stories. People ran with it, right?
But isn't that because he opposed Hillary? And if that's the case, doesn't that mean that we're basically exiling people for not falling lockstep behind the quote unquote progressive
Well,
banner?
sure. Hey,
And isn't that the same reason that?
Well, Hillary's not progressive, so let's get
Well,
that
no,
straight.
she's not. But this sounds like, and I don't believe and I don't support Trump. But it sounds like this whole fucking Hillary camp is becoming a witch hunt the same way fucking Gamergate did.
Well, yeah.
If you're not with us, you're against us. And it sounds like
it has. There's a lot of finger wagging and stuff going on from the Hillary supporters, and like even I've gotten it because I'm not supporting that. I'm not supporting a corporatist warmonger. So, but you get the finger wagging, right? When you say that shit, you get the, well, how dare you, and how dare you call yourself a Democrat? It's like, no, because I can think, I can see what she's done, and I go, well, I'm not voting for that, right? So I could do that, but you know, I'm not a billionaire and I don't run a huge company, but if I said that and I have a different stature, it comes with different consequences. And because the media has created a narrative that there's only two ponies in this race and they're both fucking riding out of hell and you have to pick the one that may not destroy us, you know, that we have horrible choices, and then they ignore the other choice. They ignore Johnson, they ignore Jill Stein, they just like, whatever. You only have two choices, right? So if you're not with one, you're with the other. And that's the narrative they've created. So that's what everybody is saying, right? That's now, all these guys are just like, well, if you're not with Hillary, you're with Trump, right? And that's not true at all. Obviously,
is the fault his? Is the fault the climate, or is the fault him not being aware of the climate and reacting accordingly? Like, is there fault in this situation, and if so, where does it lie?
The fault more lies with the climate. The fault is lying with the environment that the media has created around this election, right? Palmer Luckey has every right to do what he did, right? Mm-hmm. He's this is America. He's supposed to have freedom of speech. Apparently, since we passed Citizens United, they said money is speech, even though I don't agree with that. He can donate to whatever he wants. He could give to cancer foundations, and he could give to super PACs, and he can donate to whatever he wants. Clown colleges, he can do whatever he wants with his money. That's supposed to be freedom, right? But they've created a narrative that if you're against more so on the Hillary side than anyone else. If you're against Hillary Clinton, then you support Trump. And then if you support Trump, these are the list of things that you are because he's that, right? And that's the stigma everyone gets. And now that's the stigma he's gotten. And that's why the reaction happened on Friday when this information came out, why all these developers dropped out, because they buy that narrative. That's what's being sold from the Democrats. And it's an unfortunate, terrible narrative because it's not true at all. It's like we have choices. Tony and I have said this before. You don't have to vote for either of them. There are other candidates, but nobody wants to hear that.
It's right? Insane. But by the way, I need to jump in real quick because I don't want to last too long in there. And I need to ask this, Brett. Even though I'm risking going down a rabbit hole, but this is a good question. Somebody asked for you. Dr. 12 Evil asked Brett if he also disagrees with Snowden giving us a heads up about our government spying on us. That's the stuff we get when someone digs into private stuff.
Yeah, whistleblowing, pretty much.
So, because I think you're for what Snowden did, right, Brett?
If he's implying that Snowden wouldn't have been able to declare the things that he did unless he were doing it, like, yeah, it's a fortuitous. It's kind of like in any good civilization, you're going to have people that circumvent the law in order for it to work. Like, that's just a weird sociological thing that happens. But I think Snowden was a different circumstance in that he was there when a line was crossed and then reported that the line was crossed. I think that if that line hadn't been crossed, like, there's a certain amount of monitoring that's to be expected in any rational citizen. But I think when it gets to the point on the things that Snowden was reporting, that it kind of crossed a line.
Yeah.
But I do want to say one thing to Chris, though. Like, isn't it weird that we're sitting here defending two shitty people? Like, I'm defending I feel like I'm defending both Trump and Lucky Palmer, and I'm like, man, like I'm here defending two assholes.
yeah,
because
that's
my
how
morality dictates it.
Well, that's how crazy this election has gotten. It's like I've had discussions with my wife and other people. I generally stay off of Facebook because I just don't want to see what everybody else is saying. It's just
Don't go there.
awful.
Trust me, man.
and it's just tough because you get told on what if you are with one side, the other side, you get told, well, you better do this or else. And I'm like, no, I have choices,
Dude, I literally got told because I want to vote for Johnson that I'm part of the problem and I'm dangerous. What? Really?
Exactly. Yeah. I've heard similar things.
It's insane, man. But yeah,
Don't let them know you support Gamergate too.
Yeah, right. Shit.
You want a list?
Oh my god, it's insane. Well, again, I already said I'm not for Gamergate anymore because it's become this weird thing. But in the beginning, yeah, I was right there with it, man. Now I don't know what the fuck's going on with Gamergate, but in the beginning, totally for it because journalists fucking suck. Let's just be honest.
I wanted to say one thing about the whole situation. I agree with both sides. I do agree with that. I definitely, you have to, there is something called freedom of speech, and you can do with what your money, what you can do, whatever you want to do. But the thing is that then there's also the problem of public opinion, and that maybe that you have to essentially kind of think twice about certain decisions you make, especially when you have a high position like Palmer does.
Well, I think the difference would have been like if he was using Oculus funds or company money.
I know. I definitely if it would definitely be a big problem if he was using the actual funds from the company to do this. But this was his own money. But at the same time, there is that he is the public face, and it sucks. But that your political beliefs somehow get intertwined with the things that you create.
Yeah, that's just the way it is, which is stupid. Obviously, because listen, we said it before. People that don't have popular opinions can make really great things. I've heard of stories about friggin' H.P. Lovecraft, who is essentially, they say he was a racist. The same thing with Walt Disney. I've heard that he's been called a racist many times.
Who's driven a Ford?
Was that?
Who's driven a Ford?
Yes.
He is not a legend. He is a confirmed racist.
He's a confirmed
racist.
So did people? Obviously in those days, people didn't, come down on people who say these controversial. Ford would say that shit in public. Friggin' Disney, you didn't. It's still somewhat hearsay about that stuff, but for Ford, he just literally say that shit out in public. And I've heard some stuff about H.P. Lovecraft's writing, that he wrote some really fucked up shit too. But the thing is that these people did create good things. The guy who Cecil B. DeMille, one of the greatest directors out there, made a fucking movie about the KKK. But the guy was a brilliant was a brilliant filmmaker.
Who do you think got us to the moon? You think we just discovered a bunch of non-Nazi scientists around 1950?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
They're like, hey, we just suddenly discovered the science of ballistics from nowhere. It has nothing to do with all of these German-sounding scientists we have suddenly hanging around.
Oh man! All right, so I actually had a couple of questions more of this, but we got to move on. All right, we could have done a whole episode on this. Very interesting. Anyway, this next question is from the guy with the most awesome name of anybody here tonight, the Booty Warrior. So he asked, after all of Konami's fuck ups, what would they need to do in order to get back their reputation with gamers?
Can I tell you how they won't do it?
Okay, how won't they do it? I know the answer. Go ahead.
By keep doing sequels like the Silent Hills and the Metal Gears. They need to do their new IPs, man. They need to do new IPs, because if they keep trying to try to live off nostalgia and failing miserably at it, they're not gonna do anything. They're just gonna die.
Wait, you're talking about Konami?
Yeah, Konami. Yeah.
That's all they. The problem is that they don't have any more legacy. That's the problem. That's the biggest problem. That they don't have any more legacy to roll back onto, because every single time they keep tripping over themselves. I mean, for them to go out, they already have, or they've already kind of screwed over the faith, essentially having the faith of all the fans from the things that they've done in the past. So what makes you think that anybody's going to support anything new by these guys if they already have this reputation? The first thing that they need to do is just show that they're willing to go down the road that people want.
Why don't we have that? I'm just thinking, none of the game companies from when back in the day when we were a kid, none of them have lived up to the standard or the longevity. Like, why isn't there a game company that we can sit back and be like, man, they put out like 30 years of good games? Like that is the group, like you, like just, they always put out good shit. Like, why is there not one company who staked its reputation purely on quality?
I need to say this now. For a fact, Nintendo fanboys will say Nintendo has been doing it consistently for 30 years.
So the thing about the whole situation, and it's the biggest part of it, it's money. These games cost so much more money now. The bigger studios are not going to let these guys run around all willy-nilly and start fucking spending money all over the place. When friggin' games were only made by 10 people, they didn't give a shit. They're like, fuck, get these games out, because the amount of money that they got back was way more than they actually spent on actually creating these games.
Portal 1 was made as a prototype. Like, there's a way that you can build it so that you have smaller, cheaper games that kind of duke it out until you find something that works, and then when something gets successful in that realm, then it gets funded for bigger development and more investment. But it's a possibility.
It's a possibility, but I think that a lot of the bigger studios are just looking for instant returns.
Oh yeah,
that's why, and that's the reason why most of these guys have all gone to mobile gaming, because right there, it's like maybe a 20-person team. They make essentially make a game from 20 years ago, and put it on a phone. Yeah. And people are willing to pay, because it's only 99 cents. People are willing to pay pay whatever, because it's like, hey, what's 99 cents? What's 99 cents times a million?
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I've been trying to think of what Konami games have come out of note recently, and all I could think about is fucking Metal Gear and Pez.
That's it. That's all they got.
That is all they have. Every single other thing has been, they have their little game. They've kind of ended all development on pretty much most games, and just kind of switched a lot of it to mobile, and also their casino department. So the way they get the people back is, first you got to prove to people that you respect the legacy of the past. That means going back and creating a damn good Contra game. That means going back and making a good Castlevania game and a Metal Gear game, and then proving from there, saying these are the guys that make quality games. Let's see what they can do now.
Remember back in the day when you got a Konami game, it didn't matter what it was, you knew you were getting good shit.
Konami, at least for me, you always got a decent game from Konami, no matter what it was, even if it was one of those licensed games that they did, like freaking Batman Returns. Batman Returns, come on, most licensed games are shit. I mean, the two Genesis ones were fucking ass. But Konami comes out with one that's like, no, we're just gonna fucking beat the shit out of everybody. Do our time-tested thing that we know, which is beat 'em up side scrollers. Perfect. Contra, right there. You go right in that the Contra, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all these games that came from that era. They were really great games. But then
there's the thing. Like you said, that you can't rely on new IPs because no one's going to care anymore. So you do have to reestablish your old games.
But think about it like this: they're creating a zombie game, and they slapped the whole Metal Gear name on it.
Just the biggest fucking insult out there.
And not only that, but the game could be good. Like, that's the crazy part. Like, maybe what if that game is good? It's just not a good Metal Gear game. It could be just a decent game overall. But no one's going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I know it's one of the next questions, but
yeah, I mean, we could throw. I mean, no, we'll skip it.
We can probably mix them together.
But I know what you're saying. It's like maybe the game would be a decent zombie game, but since it's a Metal Gear game, it's going to be a shitty game.
Obviously, it's going to be judged on that level because it has that Metal Gear name on it.
Yeah, but let's get to that in a bit. But how do we realistically get Konami back, to what they're supposed to be doing?
That exactly what I said. Them going out there, putting out the games that people remember. The names that people remember from the past, and the games that actually are respectful to the original to the original content. That doesn't mean just slap some shit on. Creating God of War and slapping a freaking Castlevania skin on it. Actually going through and doing something. Doing something interesting with these things. It doesn't exactly need to be Simon Belmont that you're fucking playing, but it still needs to be something. You have to go back into all these franchises, these things that people remember, and show people that you can continue to make. You are quality, and you can make these sorts of these games that people remember and revamp. Like, think of Tomb Raider. We want something like that, where it's like, okay, we have this antiquated form of gameplay, from the last Tomb Raider games, and now we've got these guys who came in. It's a whole new team. Nobody from the original Tomb Raider team is on the new Tomb Raiders team, and they've created this whole new legacy that people remember. That's maybe have overshadowed a little bit of the past, which is exactly what you want to do. You want to prove to people that you can make these older things that people remember and make them better, not make them worse.
But the reason why Tomb Raider, like for me, the reason why Tomb Raider made a huge comeback was because of the influence of Uncharted. If you want to remake Contra and you want to remake Castlevania, there isn't a Castlevania type, Contra type game that's out there right now that's going to influence them. And since you said
there is Gears of War. Gears of War is Castlevania.
Bloodborne is essentially Castlevania.
Yeah, Bloodborne is totally fucking Castlevania. Those games already, great Konami games already exist. They're just not being put out by Konami.
Exactly. So
even shit like Cuphead and Bloodstain, great Konami games, but not by Konami.
Not by Konami. So the thing is that these things do exist out there, and people can improve on them. But the thing is that's what we need to go through. We need to be able to. You need to get back the support of the people that are out there. And at this point in time, Konami does not have any of that, because every single move seems like it seems like a slap in the face of the people who were already standing there willing to say, "I'm going to give you my money."
Yep.
They could have handled the first thing they could have done, and it's obvious they could have handled the whole Kojima situation a lot differently. It could have been a bit less harsh. Stupid shit like blocking him from the friggin' video game awards. Stupid shit like not having him be able to say anything or go on to his, do his little podcast and stuff. That sort of shit people remember.
Right. So would the original answer be you should have kept Kojima and let him do Death Stranding for Konami?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that number one is that could have been the first thing. Would have just been like, let Kojima make Silent Hills. But the thing is that whatever personal things he's probably might have had with whoever is at the top at Konami may have had that effect. Maybe that guy, which I feel like he had some sort of thing against Kojima in general and wanted to get him out. And whatever Kojima did in the time, whatever in his time in the development of Metal Gear Solid 5, pissed the fuck out of this guy and said, "You know what? End this shit. I don't like this guy anyway. Get him the fuck out of here."
Well, I think that's the root problem. It's the wrong people got pushed out of Konami. Konami needs a restructuring from the top down, but instead they just told all the creative people, including Kojima, in the worst way to take a hike. Yeah. Right, so that was the first problem. Really, the executive part of Konami needs to go. They need to be restructured, and the decision making there has been terrible, to the point of it's a joke. So that's what needs to change first. Otherwise, you won't have any of the other stuff Manny mentioned happen. The same guys who decided that to kick all the talent out cannot possibly restructure the company in a way and endear themselves to their former customers. It's not possible. There's the same ego and hubris that went into making Konami, digging them into this hole, cannot climb out of it. right? Then you need new thinking. They need to approach things differently. And the guys at the top there are not capable of that. They need to be fired, right?
Yeah,
That's what needs to
I
happen.
definitely agree. I mean, they're going to find that this direction that they're heading is not going to be very lucrative for them. I mean, granted, they have that the only thing that they have at this point in time is Pro Evolution Soccer, which is a game that I'm here is a pretty decent soccer game. A good alternative to the EA's FIFA soccer series. But at the same time, it's like your whole video game division is only really depending on 2 games, Metal Gear and this other one. What happened to everything else?
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, let's move on here. So, related question: will reviewers be fair to Metal Gear Survive? Glances at Tony.
Glances at Tony.
Yeah.
What about me, nigga?
You reviewing it? It's gonna be weird, man, because you can't look at this game without looking at all the baggage it's carrying with it. I don't know if that's being unfair to it. I think very few people will look at the game on its own, right? Like that's what you should do as a journalist, but I don't think most people can, because you're human. You can't take yourself out of that, so I don't know if that's not being fair to it, but
it's like being a part of a jury and you already have had some sort of interaction with the defendant. Essentially, let's say the defendant friggin' not slapped your mom in the face. The thing is that obviously, even if the guy is innocent, you're still gonna think that son of a bitch slapped my mom in the face.
Yeah, but it's not even that. Like I'm thinking, like imagine if Hitler was actually put on trial. Could he actually get a fair trial? You know what I mean?
Probably not, because every single person on the planet probably already has a preconceived idea as to what they wouldn't be able to give it to him. They want to give it to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't think anyone who's going to be reviewing this game can actually judge it without all the baggage. That's going to be impossible. So I'm going to go with no. The thing is, I can't say. Here's the thing: I can't say they're not going to be fair because. And this is my bias talking. I'm just putting out there. I think this game deserves all the shit it's getting and it's going to get. I think it deserves all of it, because what is it? It's the cheapest thing possible. A fucking survival zombie game, like for Metal Gear. Like that is the lowest bullshit you could do to this franchise. The biggest slap in the face to the fan base, right? Many of which are journalists too, right? So I think this game is going to get what it deserves in that part. I know I shouldn't be saying that as a quote unquote journalist, but fuck it. I keep it real first before anything,
I agree. I mean, I feel like people are not going to be able to get it out of their heads as to the minute they turn the game on, all the bullshit that went on through the last few years is going to all come flooding back, all that stuff. And I definitely don't think, even if it is a good game, I think it will definitely get very harshly judged. Just for the plain fact that it is what it is. I understand, again, I've said this before, I understand the reason why they're going in this direction. They're trying to somewhat create their own legacy without going over the same things, because obviously they probably can't do the same thing as Kojima, create that sort of, insane sort of, storyline that he's used. So they tried to go in their own direction. But at the same time, I feel like it's way too fucking early for this sort of thing to happen. Metal Gear Solid 5 is supposed to be the end. So let it be the end for a few, like maybe 3 or 4 years before we start treading on this stuff again.
Yeah,
but
that's what I mean. It's like the corpse is still warm, and they're
at the same time, they're probably trying to whatever amount of money that they made, that they used to spend, Kojima used to spend to make the game Metal Gear Solid 5. Maybe that's what the Konami is trying to do. They're trying to recoup that money that they made. Yeah, nobody ever said that this thing was ever profitable. That's the one thing that nobody ever talks about.
They never said that. Did you see the newest gameplay trailer for this thing? They're even reusing levels from Metal Gear Solid 5.
Here's the thing. It's the way that's the Fox engine works is it has all these pre-built things. It has trees, rocks, buildings, and stuff like that. So what's happening? you're going to see a lot of the same things over again. They're not making any new assets, which
No,
sucks.
but I mean, but it's not like they're making new assets. They're literally using entire levels.
No,
over,
that level is not. It's different to an extent. It's using portions of
It's
it.
the same thing. Let's just be honest.
No, it's not the same thing.
The stairs are in the same place. The doors in the same place. The
No,
rooms in the same place.
you're talking about the literal building. But if you look around that building, that big.
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about what's around it. I'm talking about the actual building
the
itself.
building.
It's the same thing.
Obviously, we're using the building, but I'm talking about the environment around it. If you remember the environment around the building, they had those big forts in the distance. Those things are gone. There wasn't those fields, those empty fields with looked like it was like an empty farmland. All that's not there. The thing is, you're going to see the problem, which is also a little bit of a disappointment, is that you're going to see a lot of the same assets re-kajiggered all over the place. So you're going to see that oil drum that you've always seen before. You're going to see that bit of building, that little wall. These things that are always getting reused. But rather than try to make this whole thing look different, okay, yes, you are using that same fort that we've been to 100 times through side ops, but rather than try to redo it, like in other words, essentially, why are you taking a familiar building like this and reusing it? Why aren't we, building something different, so that so that the gamers, so that we don't know that you're doing what you're doing, essentially,
But it's obvious. If you play the game, you know exactly where that level is and everything.
Oh yeah, why use it? Like, of all the places to use, why is it that has to be that familiar building?
How many times did we save that one scientist from that building?
The one scientist that's on the second floor of that building that has always been there. The thing is, again, it's like, why are we, if you're gonna obviously show the gameplay, don't show us the same building we've constantly been seeing.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
But that's what Metal Gear Survive is. It's literally all the assets of Metal Gear Solid 5 reconfigured into a whole new game with some new gameplay aspects, like the stabbing and all that other stuff.
So here's a question I have for you guys. Is it considered being reviewed fairly if you review this game with the same standards as reviewing a Metal Gear game?
That's a good question. Because I don't think you should review it as a Metal Gear game, but I think you should take all the shit that went into making the game into consideration, if that makes any sense. Yeah,
because I mean, Konami set the bar by, slapping this title on this game.
Okay, I see what you're saying. See, I immediately want to go, no, you shouldn't judge it as a Metal Gear game because it's not a Metal Gear game, but it is because it has the fucking name.
Well, I mean,
it has the name and it has all the controls.
Yeah.
Wait. How was Rising Revengeance reviewed? Was that reviewed as a standard Metal Gear game or an action game? It's not a Metal Gear game at all.
Yeah, it isn't, even though it does have the name.
Yeah. So this game should be reviewed. It's gonna be dumped in the same category as any survival horror game, right? It's fighting zombies. It's Dead Rising with the Metal Gear.
But for a fact they're still gonna throw Metal Gear in there just because of the name,
Right. But I don't know. It's Konami. It's the problem is beyond Metal Gear. Konami just has a terrible stigma right now.
Yeah.
Anything they put out it's already Metal Gear is already in a bad light, and like Manny said, they should have given it some time to breathe, but they didn't. The bad blood from Kojima leaving is still there. It's still boiling. It's still pissing people off, and now they're going to put out this game. So media people are going to think of that while they're playing it, right?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
going to count everything.
Yeah, you can't get away from that. Like I said, it's like trying to give Hitler a fair trial. It's like, do you know what this man has done?
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I'm not equating Konami to Hitler, by the way. I'm just saying.
I definitely feel like that all this, no matter, even if the game is actually a well done game, it's still going to be judged as it is, as a Metal Gear game, as the follow up to Metal Gear Solid 5.
Man,
to be honest, Metal Gear Survive should really just be an expansion. It shouldn't even be its own title. It should just be an expansion to Metal Gear Solid 5, and that's it.
Yep.
I think that's the only way. That's the only way to save this situation.
Stupid. All right. Anybody else want to jump in on this? All right, take that as a no. So we'll move on. Final stage boss. By the way, just so everybody knows, the last question was asked by Seth, who was actually the first guy this week. I just bumped up some of the others to get ahead of this. But yeah, Seth was actually the first guy. Anyway, final stage boss. If Google and Apple entered the console market, who do you think would have the best chance to succeed?
Not Apple.
So Google then.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter who you put there. Like, not Apple. I don't know, man. I think gamers and Apple seem kind of intrinsically opposed, and I'm not sure why, because the systems kind of do the same thing that an Apple PC does, in the sense that, like, keep your dirty hands out of here. But I don't know. Like, most gamers that I know kind of fucking hate Apple.
You know what? It'll just mean that a bunch of people who are insane Apple supporters will instantly buy this console, whatever it is. They'll be like, "Oh my God, consoles have never existed since the Apple console. This is the greatest thing ever. It has controllers."
Yeah, but no controller ports.
Controllers? This is crazy. Why didn't anyone think of this?
Use your hands.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way most like Apple things go. It's like, hey, look, we're just reserving you a bunch of things that you already get in every other bit of media, just with an Apple on it.
So pretty much Nintendo.
Oh wow.
Well, I mean, you know, when the Wii came out, they were considered the Apple of,
Yeah, they were
considering them the Apple of consoles.
I don't know. Yeah, go ahead, Carlos. No, I was just gonna say real quick that I don't know. This is a tough one for me because I don't want either of them to get into the console market space.
They'll never get into the console market because what they're doing already makes them insanely more money than what the console market does.
That's a fact right there. But anyway, go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, and I was similar to what you guys were saying. I think Google maybe, just for the simple fact that Apple knows what drives their profits. Like, if you noticed, Apple hasn't really done anything other than, you know, the watch, the computers, and the phone. You know, they've been rumors about, you know, them releasing a TV, them releasing a car or something like that.
The iCar.
and there's a reason why they haven't done that, is because to them the market wouldn't dictate them to be successful, or as successful as they are right now.
Well, yeah. I don't think they innovate in the market where they can buy their way in. They certainly have enough money to buy their way in. The rumor came up again about the car because they're in talks to buy McLaren.
Right.
So imagine that, right? They're gonna buy a supercar company. Like, that's strange, but they have the money to do it. So if Apple were to buy their way into console gaming, not necessarily buying out like Sony or Microsoft, but you got to admit, it's kind of funny that I pointed out at the last Apple conference to see Miyamoto on stage. And that's something that Kristen was pointing out too. Maybe Nintendo's looking for a buyout at this point.
Oh shit!
Maybe they're courting Apple. Maybe they made the Super Mario Runner exclusive to iOS. And by the way, it is exclusive to iOS. It has no date for Android, so I guarantee it ain't coming to Android. They made it exclusive. They're throwing Apple an olive branch, and they're going to see if they reciprocate and maybe get a huge investment or even a buyout. That's my wild theory.
Wow. Hey, you heard it here first on Throwdown. You know, it wouldn't make sense, though, if Nintendo really wants to get out of the console space, because it seems like mobile's more lucrative. Why not team up with the biggest, you know, thing out there, which is Apple, unfortunately. Because Apple fucking sucks. Fuck Apple.
Everybody's. I mean, the question is about, you know, about Google and Apple getting into it, but nobody's ever talking about the fact that friggin' Amazon is literally trying to get into the console market.
Or video games,
or video games in general.
So you're gonna go with Amazon, Manny?
I'm gonna go with Amazon. I'd say there's a better possibility that Amazon would actually do it.
And instead of achievements, they ship you out something.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. Like, achievements or trophies actually mean something.
Yeah, like an actual little thing. I don't know.
Actually, get an actual thing that comes to your house. It's like, hey, we're sending the Amazon drone to your house with your awesome new thing.
It's hilarious.
That's a good point. They made. I keep getting ads on Twitter about that Lumberyard. Their gaming engine.
Yeah,
Like, they're trying to pull people in to develop, and it looks really good. So I mean, they're trying to court developers. They're like, hey, we made you an engine. Come make games for us.
Hey, listen, they own the guys that made Killer Instinct. So the
That's
new
right.
one, right?
They bought Double Helix.
Oh shit. So yeah, I guess the ones we really got to look out for is Amazon.
Yeah.
Google and Apple, I think they make enough money without it, without consoles.
Yeah, and Apple doesn't innovate anymore, so.
Yeah, they don't, Oh, man. All right, next question here from Mr. Final Stage Boss. How do you feel about real-life advertisements in video games? First time I saw one was in, or not one, a lot, was in Need for Speed Underground 2. Like, even the cell phone you're using was like whatever.
A Nokia or something.
Nokia, whatever was popular back in the mid-2000s. And there were like a bunch of ads and stuff. I didn't mind it because it's supposed to be kind of realistic. So like, whatever, that's cool. But I do prefer fake advertisements, like the way they have it in Grand Theft Auto. I love that shit, So I'm more of a fan of fake advertisements, but real world advertisements, if it's set in the modern day and it's supposed to be the real world, sure, why not? I don't care.
Yeah, I'm the same way because I feel like if we're setting up that sort of universe, kind of like in the movies, where somebody drinks a Coke or a Pepsi, those are things that we see in our everyday lives. But when it's especially, I mean, for a game like Grand Theft Auto is is more of a what do they call it?
It's a satire.
It's a satire of reality. So everything is hyper real. So it's like you don't drink Coke, you drink like Splarg or whatever the fuck they had in there. I don't mind it, but I do mind when it becomes aggressive. When all of a sudden, like an ad literally shows up on the fucking screen. I much rather, if we're gonna have licensed things in it, it has to be just like the way the movies are, where it's just like, James Bond just so happens to drive an Aston Martin car,
right?
But it can't be something. It also can't be something.
It can be like, and he's drinking like, I'm sorry, Chloe, I just have to finish drinking my Pepsi, and
and they literally put it in the screen in front of them, like stuff like that, or like what was it in Beyond Two Souls? I mean, there was that one section where he was crushing a can. If that was a Coke can, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't mind, like, for example, Fallout has Coca-Cola instead of Nuka-Cola.
Yeah, Nuka-Cola. But the thing is, with Fallout, it's such that is part of the fun of the game, right? The fake shit,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but I see what you mean, though. It would be cool, but at the same time, I like Nuka-Cola because of how silly it is.
But then you look at, again, we're going to go back to Metal Gear. I mean, Metal Gear literally had quite a bit of ads inside of it, but you really didn't care that much about it, and that's the way I think about it. It's like Calorie Mate, that's a real product.
What about that soda from Metal Gear 4? That soda that with Drebin.
Nano Cola or whatever it is, the one that the monkey drinks? No, that's a fake one.
Oh, okay.
That one's a fake one, but they did have like Mountain Dew in Peace Walker in Japan.
Yeah.
Eva drives a Triumph motorcycle in any of the Metal Gear games. In fact, all the guys in Metal Gear 4 were driving Triumph motorcycles. So, I mean, they're in there, but they're not in your face. It's not like Snake's going like, well, Calorie Mate, they did do literally a fucking ad for it.
Yeah, they did.
Like, wow, Calorie Mate's such a great thing. It's just like a cookie. That's a little bit stupid. But just having it like, hey, it's a can sitting somewhere. It's a this. And it's not just like, drink Surge, Snake's not going like, when I go out on a sneaking mission, I always drink Surge. It gives me that extra bit of energy. It's not that.
All right, Chris, what do you say, man?
I think it's a slippery slope. I mind it in so much as when it was in stuff like Need for Speed and Burnout, especially Enter the Matrix, it was blatant.
Yes.
Like Powerade and all this stuff. Intel.
The Powerade ads on every single friggin' soda machine was a Powerade machine.
Right. Yeah, and I think like, okay, if if you're getting ad money, right? Because if a publisher is gonna go, yeah, we'll pull in real ads, we'll pull in soda ads and whatever else, and we'll pump it out. Then cut me a discount, man. I want that DLC for free. If you're getting ad money, don't charge me $60 and don't charge me $120 for a special edition. I want a some kind of discount, and you should give everybody that discount if you're gonna go down that road.
Yeah, by the way, my old man brain forgot that the first game I played that had advertisements out the ass was Ninja Turtles for Nintendo. Remember that Pizza Hut everywhere?
Yeah.
You know? So,
man, Devil May Cry 2 had Diesel ads in it. You could even dress them in the clothes. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, they had Diesel ads.
I was thinking about it too. It's like, yo, if you're gonna have advertisements in the game, that's fine. You better give me free DLC. You know, I better not have to pay for that shit.
A recent version of that is the fact that Snake's shoes are Adidas, the boots that he wears in Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, I know they always say like that's to recoup costs. Okay, but can we see some benefit? You know, Brett, what do you say, man? Advertisements in games.
I think it just adds to like, well, it depends on if you're having advertisements as an advertisement in a game, like you're putting Coca-Cola billboards up, like that is, I have no problem with. Or like if you have, you know, even to a certain extent, like, you know, the little bits in the radio about like drink Coke, like it if you're portraying a real world, it kind of adds some realism to it. We've come a long way from being able to like, well, we have to put, you know, the, you know, Spripsy in the game because we can't use Pepsi. To, you know, well, how much is Pepsi going to pay us to put their product in the game? So for the most part, I don't care unless it becomes ham-fisted. And they're like, pull out your Nokia phone to check your mission objective. At which point you're like, I swear to God, like the next time you say this is a Nokia phone, I'm going to smash my goddamn controller.
Yes.
Another example was again Metal Gear, was that there was a Sony Ericsson. They were most of the guys use Sony Ericsson phones.
Yeah, so like I don't mind product placement and I don't mind advertisement, you know, if it's supposed to be advertised, but like commercials on TV as you walk by on a street, or, you know, billboards or anything like that. But if they try to use the game itself as an advertisement, that's when I tend to get a little bit upset.
Yeah, definitely, man. By the way, I have to say this. Barry Burton goes, I am more worried about game advertisement in real life getting out of hand. Pro soccer team in Seattle changing to Gears 4 jerseys. Is that real? What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Soccer jerseys, man. They're at the, like...
It's like NASCAR for people.
Exactly, yeah.
For people. Oh, man. All right, let's move on here. Mr. Ikagu Raven. All right, he goes, name a game that you love the music for and would buy the soundtrack.
Anything Zelda.
Sonic CD, I would buy that.
Well, you literally got it when you bought the goddamn game.
I did. Yeah, right about that. If you pop it into the Sega Saturn, you can just listen to it, you know?
You could even rip this. I've ripped the soundtrack right off the damn disc, so yeah, it works.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games. I mean, God of War had a great soundtrack.
Yes.
You
I
know,
love Jet Brand Radio.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, are you talking about the one that they readjusted for America, because that had like shit like Rob Zombie and stuff like that on there?
No, not that one.
I'm talking about the real one.
Yes.
Really.
Manny, didn't you used to have the Street Fighter soundtracks? I know we
oh shit, we used to listen. I mean, the Street Fighter Alpha. The Street Fighter
that's
Alpha
right. That's
soundtrack we used to listen to. Like,
used to rip them off the CDs. Yeah.
Yeah. Street Fighter Alpha, friggin' Virtua Fighter 2.
Yes, man.
That, you know, some of that stuff was really awesome. As soundtracks, I buy a lot of soundtracks. I literally have I have the soundtrack to Gravity Rush. That's a really good one. It's kind of an upbeat, really happy soundtrack. The Order has a friggin' depressing as fuck like soundtrack, but it's nice sounding.
Oh man, is it as depressing as when you played that shitty ass game?
It's, you know, it has a lot of for some reason. Then
I like the Order, by the way. I'm just saying.
for some reason, the Order and Bloodborne have like almost the same soundtrack, where it's just a lot of those cellos. But I liked both of those. I thought the Bloodborne one's amazing. Like especially like when you start, they play that kind of sad music when you're in the the hub world, which is the hunter's dream, and then you fight the boss, and it's just like oh, you're having like this epic fucking battle. But man, what would I get?
Snatcher Zoom track said Shinazi.
I mean, I mean, you know what? I could go with an old soundtrack. I would go with the.
I wouldn't really go with modern.
If I were going to go with an old video game soundtrack, I would probably go with the Knuckles Chaotic soundtrack.
Ooh,
that one had a lot of really catchy stuff. Not a lot of people played that game, but that had a really good classic, Sonic-esque soundtrack before they went on to.
By the way, little trivia for you guys. Manny wanted to use one of the songs from that for the trivia. No one got the one we gave, and they would have not have gotten
Listen,
that.
I'm going to give you a slight hint. The game that we used is an actual well-known game, and it's based on something that's well-known.
Yes, we're going to give you more clues later on because I guess you need help. Yeah, it's not like an underground game. It's one of the best-selling Sega Genesis games of all time.
Yes.
Anyway,
and it's not a deep cut either.
No, it's not. It's not at all, man. It's literally the second level of the game. All right, Chris, go ahead.
Halo had a great soundtrack.
Yeah,
that for sure. Like I said, God of War also an excellent soundtrack. I would say Dead Space, except it will give you nightmares. Dead Space music literally is like horror, like just a horror symphony, So I would get that one. It had great music, but I wouldn't buy it. I think that's what I can think of right now. Definitely, Halo came to mind immediately.
Yeah. Anybody hears a choir of men singing, it's automatically Halo.
Yeah, it's Halo. Carlos, get in here, man. What you got?
The first and only thing that showed it to my head was any Zelda soundtrack. I mean, in particular, Ocarina of Time is like
that's some good stuff right there.
I can listen to that like every day, and man, that this isn't the soundtrack to a particular game, but like for Zelda, but like the 25th anniversary with the orchestra, oof, amazing, man.
Awesome, Brett, what you got? Mr. Brett, he's probably screaming.
No, I'm here. Sorry. What
right.
now?
What soundtrack would you like to have?
I already said Background Radio.
Oh yeah, any other ones?
Not that I particularly like. I've liked a lot of music in a lot of games, but I don't know. None really struck me as like, man, I need to hear more of that. Like
not even Bloodborne. Well, you kind of listen to that a lot, I think.
I think the difference is like it's like composing for movies. I think when you're doing a really good job, it accents what's happening, which is different than the kind of thing I want to just sit around and listen to. So for the most part, I don't like a lot of soundtracks because it's just taking the music out of its element. It's supposed to be joined up with something. That's like saying, like, do you like comic books without the word bubbles? It's like, well, yeah, I can appreciate it on a certain level, but I appreciate it all more when it's put together. I think the exceptions to that are, quasi music based games or games like Background Radio where it's kind of built around the music. It's a central pillar that you're supposed to be focusing on. So that's definitely my own bias. But
yeah, I mean,
not
for
a big
me,
soundtrack guy.
I kind of agree with you about modern soundtracks. They just kind of blend into the background. Like I remember, Manny, you were playing me something from like one of the Batman Arkham games, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. They're like, dude, it's from Batman Arkham. I'm like, damn if I know. All these soundtracks all blend in together. But back in the day, almost every game had a great soundtrack. It's crazy.
Well, because of also the because of the fact that you could now, before you really didn't have that much to work with, so it was always very theme based.
Yeah, now they, since it's like movies, the whole thing with a movie soundtrack is it's not supposed to be in your face. It's supposed to accent whatever you're watching, Back then it wasn't like that. It was like, let's make a cool soundtrack, Like you could listen to Mega Man 2 soundtrack on its own, Street Fighter Alpha thing on its own, but you can't listen to like Batman Arkham. Like, what the fuck is this shit? It just blends into the background. All right, let's move on here. Okay, this is I want to know what country you're from, Ikagu Raven. He goes, since someone in my country married a game character, I want to know what Japan maybe. Okay, so but the question is, which character would you marry if you could? I get he didn't specify. I guess video game character would you marry? This is a tough one because a lot of the women in video games are kind of like crazy.
Does that also include Lara Croft?
Yeah, I get. You know what? I'm gonna go with Lara Croft because she's rich.
You want to marry up?
Yeah, man. You know, I'll be the what's it? She'll be the sugar mama, I guess. It'll be the reverse. Because you know how there's those chicks that are gold diggers? I'll be the gold digger because it's Lara Croft. And she's pretty hot, too. So that helps.
So essentially, it's equivalent to like marrying like Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah, except, you know, she's good looking.
Oh.
Hey, she's old, man. I can say it.
So I Googled marrying video game character, and obviously the obvious choice came out, and it's like Tokyo Man or marries video game character.
Yeah.
So who is it? Let me see.
Oh, shit. So I guess Ikagu Raven's from Japan. That's awesome.
She's a video game character of the Nintendo DS game called Love Plus.
That's a Konami game, by the way.
Oh,
That's a dating thing.
It's
Right?
a Konami dating game. Yeah. Did Konami have to approve that? They were like, "This is great. You will marry our character."
Oh my god.
Copyright infringement. You cannot do this.
All right, Manny, you got anybody?
You're not allowed to marry. Marry video game characters. I've never been that attracted or anything to any sort of video game character where I wanted to live with them or marry them.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. I never thought about this before. I've thought about fucking video game characters, not marrying them. That's
Yo, man, you want to have a sexual relationship with them.
Yeah, man. Did you see Chun-Li's thighs, man?
Tony played freaking Resident Evil 5 just to look at Shiva's ass all the time.
Yeah. Yes.
That's an odd question. Like I've never thought about it.
Yeah, like well, like I never thought about that in real life, let alone for a character, you know.
I mean, I've never had that urge where it's like, wow, this character is the woman of my dreams. I need to marry them. No, never had it.
Weird.
I'll just stick with Tony and say Lara Croft, I guess.
Money, son. I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, son.
All right. What about the rest of you guys?
Oh, I was abstaining from this. This is weird. It's fucking weird because in the context of the question, I don't understand. A guy did marry a video game character, so what does he do? Does he like pass a flower from one hand to the other? I don't understand what. How does he live?
Well, I remember a while ago, like a few years, like I think that's an old story because Love Plus is kind of an old game.
Yeah.
But as I remember, the way he made her say yes was with certain things in the game.
Yeah.
So
all right,
yeah.
I don't roll like that, so no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna plead the fifth on this one.
Fair enough. Brett, plead the fifth too, man.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, this is a weird question. All right,
it's a hilarious question too.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Last question for Mr. Ikagu Ravens. Right. What three things would be inside your perfect gaming room? Don't mention consoles or games because that's a given.
Does a TV count? Because that's one of those.
That's a given. Okay, I'm gonna go because I thought about this. I want a mini fridge, right? A toilet, and a garbage can.
Oh hell no! Why would you want a toilet in your room?
We'll have a bathroom.
Leave the room, man.
That's just gonna stink up your whole game.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. A little. It's a room of its own.
Oh, so you mean a toilet like the whole the room, like a bathroom?
Yeah, like within my room, right? The gaming room will be a little toilet too, like enclosed area,
Oh, I thought you like just a toilet.
Who would shit in open like that? That's crazy. And of course, it would have like a little fan at the top, so it gets rid of that funky smell after you take a shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my three things. But the fridge, of course, that's our main one right there.
I guess I would stick with the fridge. I would say a microwave with like a whole bunch of things.
Ooh, I like that.
And a lazy boy.
Yeah, there you go. By the way, in my case, it would be a mini oven because I don't like microwaves.
Chris, you pretty much had that in your old apartment when I first met you. You had like a lazy boy and the game console and your computer.
Yeah. I kind of had a hybrid game room. My bedroom was like the game room. That's the one thing. Like, you need a really comfortable chair. Like, if I could afford like a brand new lazy boy, like that would be my gaming chair, right? Like a recliner.
Yeah.
Not the PC gaming chair everybody gets. Like they want
that thing hurts your back.
The race car bullshit.
Yeah, they want a race car seat. No, give me a freaking recliner, man. A comfortable chair. Secondly, a mini fridge. I agree with Tony, man. You got to put that shit in there. It's like, oh, I'm gonna be here for a while.
Gotta stock this up with some Pepsi.
Yeah, and maybe a soda stream or a soda machine.
I like what Mark. Hey, what? By the way, Mark, where the hell have you been, Mark? He does this thing sometimes where he just goes away for months on end. Is he back on the fan zone too? I don't know. So he goes, I want a bar, a movie theater, Nathan's hot dog stand. Funny.
See, for me,
fit that shit in your room, shit.
For me, that's a difficult one. I mean, I kind of like the feel. I don't like the being kind of confined to a room sort of thing. Like in other words, it's
not
like
even
this
a sanctuary, man.
No, I mean, if it were a sanctuary room, I kind of don't like that feel where it's because it almost makes me feel like office. Like, oh, here we go. This is another office to be. So it might have to be a whole like living room, like a whole like living room kind of game room thing where I can watch movies and do stuff like that. So,
so that's number one.
Yeah, it'd probably be like it would be literally almost its own living room. It'd be like a comfortable place. Let's see. I mean, I guess I would go with having a fridge close to it. I'd agree with Tony, a close bathroom. Something like where I could sit, they'll have the room soundproofed because just in case. I'm thinking also movies and surround sound.
Yeah, I think that I thought that was a given too. I'm like, I'm watching. This is my sanctuary room. I don't want to leave this room if I don't have to.
Having the room properly set up with surround sound and stuff like that. Let's see what else.
A stripper pole.
Nah, I don't need one of those. Especially if you have a girlfriend or wife,
or for yourself.
Yeah, because if you want to do some exercise, right? You want to take some stripper pole dancing.
Hey, we don't judge on Throwdown.
Yeah, I mean, it's mine would be pretty much what I have now, just kind of transported into a soundproof room with freaking good air conditioning.
Yeah. All right, Chris.
Oh, I said it already.
All right, let's see. Brett here. What you got?
Boom! I threw something in the chat. I want an Imperior workstations. The MWE lab. They look like the thing that the architects sit in from Alien.
What the hell?
It's like the seat reclines and all three screens recline with it. Like it bends out straight. It leans up. Like it's like a little micro environment. Like it's fucking awesome. It is
Jesus.
Too much, I'm sure.
Yeah, let me give this to the fans in the chat. Check this shit out.
Yeah, they're like $6,000.
So essentially, you want to become the architect from the Matrix.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like, you look at that thing and who doesn't want to sit in that thing? Like, and you'd be like, oh, I'm getting a little sore. So like, you like stretch out and lean back and straighten the back, and the whole thing reclines you, and like all the things, like you pretty much lay back and have the screens hovering above you when you decide to game, and then when you want to like lean forward, like, can you imagine having a Cintiq built into that, Manny?
I don't know. I have to be in a sitting a certain position when drawing on my Cintiq.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Imagine a fourth monitor that just like swung up where the keyboard is under.
That looks awesome, but you know what? One of the downfalls for that is there's no place to put your food.
Uh-oh.
That's like a must have for me, like a table or something to put food.
Yeah, well, I imagine you have to, but you can put a table next to it.
Yeah, you could probably do that.
Wow.
But you can't drink laying down. You have to sit up when you're drinking.
Well, yeah. I mean, still though, that's
the limitation of humanity.
Yeah, still though, like I'd love to have one of those setups just mostly for like gaming, not even necessarily for working. For working, I'd actually prefer like a standing desk and a Cintiq so that I'm constantly staying in motion. But like if I want to like just pretty much like grab a drink and like pretty much recline halfway and have the monitors halfway above me so you can lean your head back, like for long gaming sessions, that thing would be awesome. Also, a mini fridge and a dog.
I like the dog part. All right, Carlos, did you go?
Yeah.
All right.
You know what the other things that makes me think of? I'm sure a lot of you guys out there won't even know what this is, but the movie Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember this? It kind of reminds me of that.
Yes.
Or the movie The Last Starfighter.
Yes.
You remember he had the rotating chair?
That's right. Yeah, it's funny. There's a thing like this. I know probably most of you never saw Grandma's Boy, but one of the developers in the movie, he has this weird setup that looks almost like this thing, except it was suspended from the ceiling. So he was just hovering in the air, like coding, upside down or something in this weird chair that looked almost like this.
That's awesome. All right, let's move on here. Hell Metal. All right, first question. Name 3 underrated games from your childhood. Anything before 2006. Something that you loved but could have been hated by the mainstream, or something you feel no one really cared about.
I have it right here, and I'm going to answer it because I have visual aids.
Uh-oh.
Rise of the Dragon. I love that game, man. It's up there with with Snatcher for me, because it's just one of those cool like point and click adventures. It takes place in this semi-futuristic world. I love that game.
All right, that's one.
Another?
Yeah, 3 more, man.
3 more? Okay.
You got to do 3 total.
3 more.
Total.
Let's see another.
I'm trying to think of the name of this game, but what's the name of? I think this was an N64, or I think it was N64. It's like this game with 3 aliens or 3 monsters that destroy buildings. Rampage.
Yeah, that was
That was a fun game.
An arcade game. That was not underrated, though.
That one is not underrated. That one didn't.
Yeah, Rampage is a classic. That used to be on Nintendo. Yep,
it was a Nintendo and arcade. It was everywhere. What's another one that I enjoy? Underrated. I'm gonna have to come back. You're gonna have to come back to me on the other.
Okay, Chris, what you got?
I would say Altered Beast was underrated.
Really? Altered Beast is packed in with the system, though.
Yeah, packed in with the system. Did it get a sequel?
Yes, it did, didn't it? Didn't Altered Beast get one?
Altered Beast
never did.
Had a sequel, never had a follow-up, never had a spin-off. It had a TV port. That was about it.
Okay, it didn't get sequels, but dude, everybody knows Wise from Your Grave. Everybody knows that. Is that really
but it
underrated?
never did. It stuck it stuck whenever Genesis came out. Yeah, it was the game that was packed with the Genesis until Sonic came out. Then that game got packed with the Genesis, and Altered Beast got thrown to the curb, and we've never seen it again.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you in that sense, but to me, everybody knows Altered Beast,
Yeah, they know of it, but they always played it. It's not in anybody's recent memory. It never had a Dreamcast version or a Saturn version.
Actually, it was on Dreamcast, actually, like a part of the collection, but it was on Dreamcast.
Yeah, as a port.
Yeah.
That's it.
And okay, you know what? I'll give you that. That's fair enough. Because mine's is kind of closer to yours in that regard, too, but sure. Okay, what else?
Let me think.
Yo, Chris, what about Metal Warriors, man?
Oh, yeah, that would.
I remember talking about that the other day.
Yeah, I was talking about Metal Storm and shit. But now it's popular again because all the YouTubers played it. I can't buy that game anymore.
Yeah, Metal Storm, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
shit.
Metal Storm. That was a really good game. I'm trying to think. I was playing something recently on Super Nintendo. Don't remember the name.
Yeah, I got one. Even though you guys are gonna go, that's not underrated. It is because everybody skips it when you talk about the best Sonic game ever. You know what I'm gonna say?
Sonic CD.
Sonic CD.
I
yes.
agree. That would be another one I would say too.
Highly underrated game. It is by far the very best Sonic game ever released. No one talks about it because it was on the Sega CD and nobody bought that thing. You know.
Mm.
So would Super Mario 2 be underrated?
No, Yoshi's Island was pretty big, man.
No, Super Mario
Bros.
2.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a tough one because that game was big too when it came out. You know,
It was big, but it was criticized because it wasn't like the original.
because
But
it
it was
literally was not the original. It
Yeah.
was, yeah.
But it was good in its own right.
Yeah, I'm going to give you that one. Sure, why not? Yeah, this is a tough one. 'Cause
Cameo.
most of the games I play are not underrated. You know.
Yeah, especially those days, because like for me, I was poor. I could only get like 2 or 3 games a year.
Yeah, so you got the big ones. You know.
Yeah, so I got the ones that I knew were going to be good.
Yeah, exactly.
Except
Yeah,
except for Sub-Zero though. Freaking Sub-Zero for
Oh.
that 64. I thought it was gonna be the Mortal Kombat game, but it turned out to be something shitty.
Hey, you know what? I got duped too because I bought Sim City for Super Nintendo just because I saw Bowser on the back. Right, I'm like, oh shit, it's gonna be a monster
damn.
game. It was something else. That is not an underrated game. I did not like Sim City at all. Like, what the fuck?
Well, maybe
I
they
gotta
tricked
build a
you.
city. Yeah, they tricked me good. I saw Bowser. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. Bowser's gonna destroy cities. I thought I was gonna be Bowser. You know? Nope.
I don't know if this is underrated,
You thought you were going to get King of the Monsters.
Yeah, man.
but Super Dimension Fortress Macross for the Super Nintendo. It's like probably the best shoot 'em up game I've ever played.
Was that an import?
I think so.
It was probably called Robotech.
You know?
Well,
Yeah.
actually, you know what? Here's the thing. You grew up in Mexico, right?
Oh yeah.
No, I grew up here.
Oh, you grew up here? Okay, so it probably would have been called, Robotech.
Yeah.
Maybe Macross.
No, well, the reason why I know about this game is because I didn't play it when it originally came out. I played it via emulator, like
Oh, okay.
when I
So-
first
It's a Famicom game, right?
So yeah, it's probably still a
Super
Japanese. Yeah, okay, so still Japanese.
Super Famicom. Good. Let me see. I gotta look this up. Because there's one for Famicom.
Yeah, the one thing about a lot of games in those days is like at least for me, like my parents never really bought a lot of games for us because it was for me because it was just they were just considered so expensive and you kind of had to make the games that you had last. So I mean, I had quite a bit of games for Nintendo, but not nearly that many, and a lot of it was bullshit. Like literally shit, like fucking Karate Champ. I hate that shit.
Carlos, I'm looking it up. The game looks like it only came out on Nintendo or Famicom. There doesn't seem to be one for Super Famicom.
No, it says on the wiki. It says platform Super Famicom.
Yeah, let me get that link.
It's on the chat.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this is again. When I was a kid, I could only, except for some mistakes. I got the big games, and when they were mistakes, they're not going to be underrated because they were shit.
Okay. I got my two other ones.
Oh, okay. I see what you're. Okay, go ahead, Manny.
The Lost Files of Sherlock Holmes. That was a really good one. And what was the last one? Shit. Damn it! I lost it again.
Oh, I have a question. Was Friday the 13th considered a good game back then for the Nintendo?
It was a bad
Oh,
game
no.
then. It's a bad game now.
It's underrated, man. I love that game.
Okay, there you go. That counts.
It's there's some the one thing about Friday the 13th is that it lacked any sort of explanation as
It
to
had
how. But the thing is that as people have been playing it, they figured out how the game works, and then now it seems more ingenious than people actually thought it was originally.
You know what it did really good? It's the atmosphere. It's the tone it set, like the environments. It was scary to me. I remember playing it as a kid. Like I remember we used to like 5 or 6 of us used to be huddled up in my small bedroom playing Friday the 13th, and I just remember Jason showing up out of nowhere and be like, "Oh shit!" We all got scared, and then he would kill us.
The one that scared me was always Castlevania 2. Was whenever the thing would be like, the day is replaced by the cursed night, and then it turns black, and then everything's like, oh fuck, all the monsters are out. The town is closed. What was the last one?
Well, Brett's back. Hey, Brett, well, what are some underrated games from your childhood, man? Hopefully you can help us out here because we're all struggling.
Let's see. The first Legacy of Kain.
Is that underrated?
Dude, everybody remembers Soul Reaver. Nobody, you say Legacy of Kain, they're like, I love Soul Reaver. And you're like, no, not Soul Reaver, goddammit.
He's definitely right about that one.
That counts, yeah.
Which, granted, that did get a sequel. There was a Legacy of Kain, too.
Yeah, there was, which was not good. All right, so, yeah.
Azure Dreams, which I've mentioned before. I thought was a great game.
Which is one of the games that Psycho Mantis mentions when you play Metal Gear. He reads that.
I got one. I don't know if this is underrated because it was a pretty hyped up game, but Nights into Dreams.
Nights, who are you? What are you doing?
Yeah. I'm going to go, yeah, so that's my second one, Nights.
Nice.
What about Cameo for the Xbox 360?
So Elements of Power?
Yeah.
I've been playing the spiritual sequel. It's called Recore.
How about Gunstar Heroes?
Ooh, is that underrated, though? That was pretty big back then, man. But that's a great fucking game.
Dude, I never hear anybody talk about Gunstar Heroes. I'm shocked that you know of Gunstar Heroes.
Brad, you need to talk to me. You need to talk to me and Torrance. Me and Torrance talk about that shit all the time. Dude, Treasure was the shit back in the day, dude. Treasure was awesome, man. Dude, I was playing fucking Alien Soldier last night. Great fucking game, man. Like, I don't know how the hell, like, they squeezed so much juice out of the Genesis. Treasure did, you know? But yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with that. Gunstar Heroes fantastic. They actually re-released it, Brett, last generation on PS3 and, no, on Xbox they re-released it.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Hey, Tony.
Treasure. Guardian motherfucking Heroes.
Guardian Heroes. I was about to just mention that one.
Yeah, Treasure was the shit, man. Go ahead, Carlos. What were you going to say?
No, that was Chris.
Okay, oh, no, I was saying I love Ikaruga.
Ikaruga, man.
Yeah.
Fantastic game, and that was also Treasure. Damn.
Treasure was awesome.
Right. So we're only sticking PlayStation?
We're old. We're old motherfuckers.
No, I'm just saying what's the cutoff for underrated?
2006. That's the cutoff. You know?
When did Beyond Good and Evil come out?
Oh, that's like before 2006.
Okay, yeah, I'll put that in there.
What was that you said, Chris?
Beyond Good and Evil. Chris, man, you're an old motherfucker, man. Get out of here.
What?
I said, Chris, yeah, it's like because it's from your childhood, right?
Oh,
yeah, it's not your childhood.
No, I just wanted to know what the cutoff was. But yeah, if we have to go to old games, you know, there was a game on Genesis that I loved called Ranger X, and it was a mech game.
Shit!
I loved that game. That game disappeared. I swear, I felt like I was the only person on Earth that played that game.
I remember. I didn't play, but I know that game, dude.
Yeah. Ranger X was fantastic. I love that game. I rented it multiple times. I couldn't afford to buy it, but I rented. I rented on multiple occasions, and I love it. I have it now. I own it now. But
since we're talking about that, games that we used to rent, I used to rent the shit out of Demon Blade for the Nintendo, man.
Ooh. Oh, I'm gonna name another one. Shadowrun for Super Nintendo.
Ooh, Shadowrun.
That one is a really good game.
Wait, for Super Nintendo or for Sega?
I think that was for Sega.
The one that was the top-down RPG.
That was for Sega.
No,
that was for Sega.
No, that wasn't for Sega. The there was Shadowrunner. That was the Genesis one. Shadowrun was the
yeah, it's for Super Nintendo. Here it is. But I could have the one I remember was the Sega Genesis one.
That was Shadowrunner.
The only thing that comes to my mind is that 360 game.
Oh no, that one was shit. And there was the one that's the spiritual successor though to that Shadowrun, the Super Nintendo Shadowrun, is Shadowrun Returns. That one is that is the spiritual successor to the Shadowrun for Super Nintendo. That one was like a total top-down RPG. You could like hire like you can hire like vectors, or you can hire teammates to help you out, like stuff like that. You had control over the guns and weapons and armor you had. It was literally like a Japanese RPG, but was but he had more control over it.
Yeah, no, he's right.
Yeah, Brett, I think maybe you and I were thinking about Shadow Dancer.
No, I was thinking Shadowrun. Like I had both.
There's a Shadowrun for the Genesis.
Yeah, and it's the shit run. I remember one was shit and one was amazing. I had them backwards. Manny's correct.
Okay,
it is the Super Nintendo one that's good. The Sega one was tragic.
I never understood why there were two totally different games.
I didn't either. It was confusing.
Very interesting. By the way, Brett, you got one more game, man.
No, I said Azure Dreams, Gunstar Hero, and Legacy of Kain.
Okay, cool. I think we got them all right.
Motherfucker, don't tell me how many games I said.
Another one in.
Was Toy Story for the Super Nintendo considered good or bad? I don't even know.
Wait, Toy Story for the Super Nintendo?
Yeah. Or Sega? Yeah, probably both.
I don't know about that one.
I freaking love that game.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. It doesn't matter if everybody else thought the game was stupid.
That's the whole point.
It's the whole point. It's really the point is that what game really affected you. So if you say if you said Toy Story for Super Nintendo or Genesis, that's your game. We can't say anything about that, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there it is. Toy Story came out in 1995. Yeah, you're right. If you thought the game was great and you feel it's underrated, so that counts.
I also say a game like Revengers of Vengeance, the game for Sega CE. I love that game. Piece of shit.
By the way, let me say some of the ones that the guys in the comment section had.
What do you got?
Shawan Watson said Bubble Bobble on Nintendo.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that was underrated. That was a pretty popular game. But if that game affected you, definitely, man.
Yeah. Shinopsky says Bonk's Adventure. That was a big game too.
That was also a big game too. I mean, I would also say Legendary Axe was. I'd say Legendary Axe was a little bit more underrated than that.
Yeah.
Kirby's Dream Course 2. People need to play that game.
Wait, what? There was an Evangelion game?
What?
No, I don't even remember that.
Evangelion 64?
What?
I didn't even know that. Ooh, ActRaiser on SNES.
I was also about to mention that one, but I never played that game enough in order to mention it.
By the way, remember Bug on the Saturn? I used to play the shit out of that.
Or what was it? The Clockwork Knight?
Yeah. Man, I want to play that shit again. All right, let's move on here. Is there a genre or series of games you always found intriguing but have never actually delved into? Very interesting question.
I think I've played pretty much every single genre of games, but there's just like sometimes at some point I just kind of didn't play those sorts of games anymore. Like, those God games that like they obviously they don't make them as much as they used to. But I used to love Populous, but they don't. I really don't have any interest in playing any of those God games anymore. Yeah. Or even the RTS genre. I played maybe the Command and Conquer games, but I really don't really want to deal with them anymore.
Yeah, that was my thing. I played the first Command and Conquer. I thought it was fun. I like Kane and all that, but I'm like, okay, that's a good taste of RTS. I'm good now. I don't need any more. But as for this one, it's a trick question. I guess I'm going to go with the latest one I could think of. Here's the thing. This genre doesn't have a proper name. They just have a very...
The walking simulator?
Yeah, that's the genre. I was like, hey, what is this about? And then I tried it and it was horrible. So,
I feel like also the walking simulator has to be something that you're interested in.
Yeah. Hold on. Hey, Brett, you got to get going, man.
I just need to let the dog out. I don't think...
Dude, by the way, Brett, you were right. We did actually have a lot of questions. So go walk the dog. We'll probably be here when you get back.
No, I don't even need to walk her out. I think and this is funny, she's just rolling around in a pile of blankets, barking at the ceiling. I'm like, I don't think she knows how to ask to go outside yet, but she's clearly unsettled about something.
That's awesome.
So I'll be right back, y'all.
Okay. All right, man.
So
Go ahead, man.
let's see, what was it? What were you saying?
Walking simulators.
Yeah, the walking simulator. I feel like for you, if there were a walking simulator that was made within the genre of things that you dig, I think that you wouldn't have as bad of an issue with them.
I got one for you. Adrift. It's not quote unquote walking because you're floating around, but it's the same basic thing. You're floating around a space station grabbing shit. There's no action.
Wasn't Journey like that?
I liked it. No, Journey had a specific plot and there were actions you could take in it. You know what I mean?
Flower then?
Flower. Yeah, yes. Even though that's more of a pedal controlling simulator.
Yeah, like in that game, it's like there is somewhat of a challenge to it because if you get more flowers, you get more, more, you can move more.
If that's the case, I don't think Adrift counts then because there are specific goals you need to meet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And there's even like challenges you kind of have to maneuver yourself through. That doesn't count then. Shit. Because there's too much game.
Here's the thing. Can you die in Adrift?
Yes. Okay. You reset, obviously, but yeah.
But like, I mean, I don't really think you can die in friggin'.
No, you can't die in walking simulators.
Yeah, you can't. Like, for the most part,
you can fucking die in Adrift. You run out of air, you're done. You know.
For a game like what's the one, the Firewatch, right?
Yeah. Ugh.
You really can't die in that game. Like there's invisible walls and stuff that keep you from falling off the edge, so you can't die.
Yeah, no. In walking simulators in general, you can't die. That's one of their things. You know what I mean?
I think the thing is that what it's using that sort of aspect is to try to tell a story. Tell a narrative. It's more narrative driven than anything else. But again, I feel like if it was a game that was within your scope of games, things that you like, if it was maybe more sci-fi or futuristic or something like that, something
not just a house,
not just some house and not some empty, not some just fiery empty canyons that look nice.
Yeah,
empty fiery canyons.
All right, Chris, what about you, man?
For me, it would be turn-based strategy games. So the Civilization games, Heroes of Might and Magic, that type of stuff. I don't have the patience for those games. They just seem so long and involved. Age of Empires, I played once. I'm like, I don't really like this. So that would be for me. Turn-based strategy games, I just don't have a feel for them.
So you were intrigued at one point, then you tried them, and it's like, eh.
Yeah, I tried Heroes of Might and Magic 3, I think, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. And Age of Empires I did for a while, but then like I don't know what I did wrong, and then my empire started burning, and I'm like, all right, I'm done with this.
The other one I have is MOBAs, right? Because I was always like, what's a MOBA? What's a MOBA? But this was after I learned what a MOBA was, because I played Carlos's favorite game, what's the name of it, Carlos, again?
Awesome Knots.
Yeah, Awesome Not. So I played it. I'm in there thinking this is going to be some Mega Man Contra shit, right? Side-scrolling shooter. And then it's like, defend this base. It's like, why do I have to defend it against it? What are you talking about? Let me go shoot shit. And then, it's like, okay, so this is some multiplayer mobile online battle arena. Fuck, it's a multiplayer game. I'm like, okay, but let me give this genre another shot. So I played, I think it was Paragon, right? It was basically Awesome Knots just in 3D. I'm like, oh, I don't like this. This is stupid. So no MOBAs for me. Like, isn't Overwatch a MOBA too or something?
No.
I thought it was.
No, what's it called? Overwatch is kind of like Team Fortress.
Oh yeah, double forget that shit. Then I don't like those kind of games either. I don't know, like dedicated online gaming. I'm not into that shit. All right.
So I'm going to answer the question a little bit differently. So, fighting games, I've always played them, but I've never tried being good at them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
By the way, you're not answering the question differently. You're answering it correctly. The rest of us just went off on all other things. Like, I tried that and it sucked.
Like I've always like I played all the Street Fighters pretty much, and all of Street Fighters. Yeah. And I've always like played them, but I never practiced or never tried to get like an FADC Ultra or like to do all the cool shit, and to do like what do you call those like the frame traps and all that, like get into that shit.
But the
You're
thing is
already
that,
using more terminology than I know. Shit, and I'm a huge fan.
but the thing is, I feel like that's not really a part of fighting games. That's become a part of fighting games now, counting frames and all that other bullshit. But I mean, to be honest, all it was just you do is just you pick a character and you see if you could beat the other guy. It's not it's not that complicated. I feel like current society's made it more complicated than it really needs to be.
I don't know, because when I play Street Fighter, I always get my ass kicked because people know shit, like know way more shit than I do. Like they know all the tricks, they know all like what to do in certain situations, how to counter different characters. But what I do is I just fucking pick Ken all the time and just go freaking ham on everybody.
Well, that's how normal people play. You keep on playing all these people who are nutty, who are getting all into this stuff. If you play me or Tony or Chris, we'd probably give you a decent, wouldn't give you one of those fucking fights where it's like, oh, you can't do anything in,
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt that the friends that I play with are, when it comes to that,
they're what?
They're nuts.
Oh, they're nuts.
Here's the thing, and I'm pretty sure I could probably whip the shit out of those guys without knowing half that nonsense, Because I don't know about frame counting or that nonsense. Like, man, that's not what fighting games were about. Man, you just go in there, you pick a character, you have fun. Now these dudes try to make it into this crazy thing, and I think that's because the fighting game genre has become so small. The only ones that are left are the mega, super crazy hardcore guys that go into this shit. Like, come on, man, that shit was never what fighting games were about.
No.
Like to me, I think that's I've said it before. I'm gonna say it again. I honestly believe the FGC has ruined fighting games. Because it's all about that other nonsense shit. What happened, Brett?
There's some fighting games ruined fighting games.
How so?
Because the fact that there, games like Dead or Alive or Power Stone or even to a certain extent Smash Brothers that aren't considered true fighting games because they're essentially not clones of Street Fighter. It's the whole niche micromanaged itself into a point where like only a very specific kind of game counts as a fighting game. Like, I still remember having arguments with people be like, what's your favorite fighting game? Like Power Stone. Well, it's not a real fighting game. I love Smash Brothers. Well, that's not a real fighting game either. Like, I don't know. I like Dead or Alive. That barely counts. Like, why? Because it's not fucking Tekken?
Yeah. No, Dead or Alive fucking counts. They're crazy. But Power Stone and Smash Brothers, yeah, I agree with them. Those aren't fighting games.
Well, it just left so little room for growth or interpretation.
Well, it's just like run and gun games. There's very little room for those either. It's fighting games are a specific genre, right? I get that, but at the same time, I still think these guys, like you said, they micromanaged it too much now. Like even real fighting games like Street Fighter aren't fun anymore because of these idiots.
And that's part of the reason why I don't never even thought to even play any of those games online, because it's just a bunch of people that are just being nuts and going into this thing and trying to, essentially using exploits within the game rather than just actually just fighting, going off the cuff and just fighting me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, man. That it's not fun playing these guys because, like especially Marvel vs. Capcom, they'll punch you into the air once and that's it. It's over. The whole fight is over. They juggle you up there. It's bullshit. Where's the fun in that? And this is the problem I learned about myself, because whenever I used to play with Manny or my friends, we would try to be fair. If we notice we're getting this guy cornered up, back up, give him a chance. That doesn't happen online. If you back up, if you show any mercy, they will destroy you. And that's not a fun way to play. Give the other guy a chance.
Yeah, the way we used to play, what's it called? Marvel vs. Capcom. We played matches where we couldn't use assists.
Yeah.
And that made it more fun to me.
They used to have handicap for that very reason.
Yeah, man. Remember that shit? I remember what we used to do. It's like we would pick, go instead of picking a character, we would hit random. It's like, let's make it fair. Just pick a random character and let's go.
Yeah, because the whole point of that.
The only thing about us though is that we did have our buddy, other buddy Chris, who was that kind of nuts.
He was nuts.
He was the type of guy that would frame count, and he used to have a friggin' controller that he could program, like he programmed super fucking moves in.
Yeah, and then his whole, because we were like, dude, you're cheating. It's like, it's not cheating. I bought it. Why don't you buy it? but we didn't have anybody else to play with, so we had to play with this guy.
I'm sorry. If you're dialing in moves with a pre-programmed, that's cheating.
Yeah, like the deadly the demon rage. He
yeah,
had that
You
shit
have
programmed in.
pre-programmed? Yeah, no. You got to pull that shit off. If you don't pull it off, then guess what? You might get punished for it.
You know what?
Yeah.
Tony used to be able to pop that shit out like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
On his
the
own.
real way, you know.
The real way.
All right, let's move on here. Shawan Watson, I hope you're still awake, man. Okay, is it just me, or is Sony going to miss Jack Tretton when it comes to introducing products? Cerny and House put me to sleep. Hey, man, I've been saying it. Bring back my man Kevin Butler. You know, settle your differences with the actor. Get this man back.
Yeah, he was the best. Like, they should get him. Like, I don't think they'll miss Jack Tretton too much. Like, Mark Cerny is only boring because he's too damn technical.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, it's like, hey, let me give you an engineering lesson. Like, no, man. That's why people are falling asleep in that damn meeting, man. It's like, yo, I like your shirt. Oh,
yeah, I like the shirt, you know.
Why did Sony get rid of Kevin Butler?
Because the actor did a commercial, like a Bridgestone commercial, where he was playing a Wii.
Yes.
They're like, no,
Jesus.
It's so stupid, isn't it? It's like, dude, who the fuck? Let the man make his money.
No, it's his fault for not reading the fucking contract.
Uh-oh. But why was that in the contract in the first place?
Well, because if especially if you're literally part, you are the brand. That guy was the Sony brand for a good minute there. So obviously, in his contract it says, it has a non-compete clause, which says,
but he wasn't advertising for Nintendo. He's advertising for Bridgestone. Bridgestone decided to make a deal with Nintendo, right? So incidentally, he had to do the ad, but at the end of the day, he has to eat, right? He has to work. He's an actor. He's not Kevin Butler. He has a real name. He's appeared in TV shows and other commercials. So I think it was pretty punitive what they did to him. That ad would come and go in one hot minute, and nobody would have remembered, like, oh, Kevin Butler is playing a Wii in a tire commercial. Nobody would have cared.
They could just find him, made him pay a fee, and let him keep his contract. Like that was throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Like,
man,
the definition of doing so.
So it's bullshit. Sony, you fucked up, but of course, no one's going to remember us saying that. You know, but yeah, here's the thing. He's saying that is Sony going to miss Jack Tretton because the other guys are boring. Jack Tretton wasn't exactly exciting.
Was boring too.
Yeah.
You know who they should get? Get my man Gio Corsi. Get him to be the main dude.
No, also friggin' like crazy ass. The guy who's the leader of Sony right now. What's his face? Not Ken Kugaragi. Is it Ken?
Dude, if you're gonna get
the president, the Kazurai. Now that guy was fucking entertaining.
Yes, but he's president of all of Sony.
But he's the president of all of Sony.
Hey, you want a public liaison? Just go the full mile and get like Kevin Pereira or something like that. Like, just get somebody to be an actual liaison between the company and the public, instead of just being like.
You mean instead of getting an executive, just get somebody outside then?
Yeah, well, somebody who will. And I say Kevin Pereira because like he's inside enough with the gaming industry. He's cleaned up enough that he's good for public consumption. He did that fucking game show. You know that works. Like he has a generally good banter. He's like the not shitty version of Chris Hardwick. So like he would be a good person to, and he's young. He's relatively young. So he's, don't get this, don't pick somebody out of your boardroom. Don't pick a fucking executive. Pick somebody that's like a name, but a neutral name that's known to people. Like, yeah, nobody's going to see Kevin Pereira, hawking Sony stuff and be like, well, he's doing so objectively. Everyone's like, yeah, Sony signing his paycheck, but I could swallow what he's selling, I guess. So yeah, I'll let him tell me about Sony products, and he might, be able to draw up some genuine gamer interest or something like that. And that's just a name off the top of my head. I'm not saying fucking give Adam Sessler the keys to the fucking Xbox marketing or something like that, because that would be like a forest fire waiting to happen.
I don't know about Adam Sessler anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying. Not Adam Sessler.
Yeah,
I am
Adam
not
Sessler,
advocating.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating have big names in gaming being spokesmen, but I am saying that you could get someone like Kevin Pereira and just be a fucking liaison between the company and the people, as opposed to just picking some like jack off out of your border. Like that's why Kevin Butler worked, because he wasn't actually working for Sony. He was an actor. Like, don't pick like an engineer to be your PR guy because it doesn't work as well. Nobody's like, man, that guy really has good talking points.
But so would you get Kevin Pereira to be like the spokesman during meetings where it's not public?
No, fuck no.
You know, because remember, they get the same guy to do all this shit, you know?
Well, I mean, maybe then, like, I can imagine you want somebody amicable and likable to be able to get your investors kind of on the same page. So I think that's the difference. Like right now, they're parading out the same guy that they parade out at board meetings, which is not the fucking guy we want to see. And so that may turn around and that might be like, that's not the guy that you want to see. The guy that we want to see may not be the guy that you want to see at board meetings. So it then becomes the question of who are you pandering to? And obviously gamers are not going to be happy hearing like, oh yeah, well you're second after our investors. So then it comes down to the same old thing that I always bitch and moan about. So, but I think that's the nail on the head right there is we're seeing the guy they parade around in board meetings and we're like, why does this guy suck at speaking in public to us younger, hipper gamers? Like, well, because he's 30 years older than you, he never played video games and he doesn't give a fuck about you.
Oh man, we got a related question about that. So hold on to that.
You mean the guy who created Marble Madness doesn't play fucking games? Have you looked at that guy's fucking trophy list? That son of a bitch is going through some games. He's beating Gravity Rush right fucking now. Doing 20 platinum.
Wait, and he's a Sony executive?
Yeah, fucking Mark Cerny.
Okay, color be corrected.
That dude is no joke. Like he actually plays the games.
Respect to Mark Cerny, then.
Who used to work for Sega, and you could find that out in Console Wars.
Shill.
All right. Last question here from Mr. Sean Watson. All right. Am I the only one who is noticing that Xbox staff is low-key marketing Project Scorpio now to keep it fresh in people's minds? I don't think it's low-key. It's pretty overt what they're doing, you know? But they have to, right? Like they got a whole year.
How is it pretty overt?
Because if you go on Twitter all the time, they're always advertising. Xbox account is doing a Scorpio. Mike Ibarra even has that stupid little M thing in his name and stuff, and they're actually giving that out as pins to people. So it's pretty. They're doing it pretty in your face, you know.
I wouldn't say it's social marketing.
But then again, that's not any different than normal Microsoft marketing. That was their marketing strategy of the old days, where they're like they were taking the Genesis route of things, where it's like, we're the greatest console ever. We're coming up with the most powerful thing ever. You know? Yeah.
So I like to me the question seems like they're saying, oh, why are they doing this under the table? No, they're not only are they doing it in your face, but it makes sense because they don't have a new console for another year. They have to hype you up for the Scorpio. You know,
I'm going to challenge you on that because didn't you say that it was funny how little Sony had talked about their VR?
Yes.
And okay, talking about public like mainstream stuff, like I have seen no commercials. I have seen really nothing outside of gaming circles talking about the Scorpio. Like it is. Like they're pushing it inside their channels, but I wouldn't say it's hit mainstream yet. Versus,
well, no, it definitely hasn't hit mainstream. But if you're on Twitter and social media, they always talk about the Scorpio.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So I don't think it's hit mainstream yet. So I don't think it's that pervasive yet. I think they're waiting to push. You know, right now they're pushing to their fans. And they're getting their fan base riled up, but they haven't started pushing to everybody yet.
No, they definitely haven't because, remember, the thing isn't coming out until next year. You know, it's still vaporware at this point, you know?
Yeah, and that would explain, like, they want to remind their fans that their brand is strong and to hang in there. Because essentially we are at a lull right now. We are at the gap before the pendulum swings back up and you get something better. So they're going to be very interested in keeping their loyal fans happy right now by keeping their brand attractive, but at the same time not pressing out and going public and pushing publicly with this idea because then it might fizzle out before the console has a chance to hit shelves. You don't want the hype to come and leave the station before your product gets there. So right now they're appeasing their fan base while biding their time for the larger audience.
Yeah, I totally agree. They're not going to roll this thing out fully, for the public until E3, I think. But right now they're definitely doing a lot of things for the fans. Like I said, they legitimize that, that purple scorpion thing,
That's amazing. Because do you remember, like, if I put a timestamp, like, let's say 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we were talking about how Sony was doing better than Microsoft. Why? Because they were committing to fan service. They were doing the same thing that Marvel used to do, of making you feel like part of an exclusive club, making you feel like you're appreciated. So it's good to see Microsoft swinging back that way and starting to take that approach of
which is their old marketing strategy.
It is, and it's the one that worked the best for them.
Yeah, and they're also, like, not overtly, but they do it. They're shit talking Sony like they used to do back in the day. And I know some Sony fanboys don't like it, but I say, great, do that shit, you know?
Yeah.
Go nuts. Yeah, say your system actually has the UHD player, you know? Say you have 4K, you know? Say all that shit. Go nuts, you know?
Remember you remember Sega do and Nintendo don't?
Yeah, man, bring that shit back. I want it back. And Microsoft is finally doing it again. You know, oh, we won best online service. What about you guys? You know, shit like that. I want them to throw mud at each other.
Well, that was because, you know, the thing is that I think the one of the biggest problems with the Xbox One is they started making believe that they were above all of that.
Yeah.
Like they were the next level of gaming, which really nobody really wanted. Nobody wants to be told that they're not going to the next level of gaming. It's more like the next level of entertainment, not even gaming. Yeah. At this point, they're going back to formula where they're essentially saying they're the best, and they're, you know, essentially pandering to that sort of feel.
Yeah, for the gamers, you know,
for the gamers.
Sony's thing, you know, now they're trying to bring it up, which is good.
They're retreating back to their old ways of not advertising in games that are fucking coming out in fucking December.
Yeah.
God damn it, guys! Freaking 2 games coming out in December. 2 exclusive games. Not a word.
Yeah, Sony, what's up?
You know, man, you got Gravity Rush. You got a sequel to Gravity Rush, and you got The Last Guardian. Come on, guys.
Dude, you have DLC for Dark Souls 3 coming out at the end of October. Who's fucking heard of that?
Yes.
Like, how many times do you have to learn?
Just to be fair, that's multi-plat, you know?
Even then, like, I'm still, like, dumbfounded by the fact that, like, every fucking Souls game, people seem to forget that it might be this sleeper mega hit and nobody advertises it ever.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Well, I think a lot of times what they do is they do that sort of weird level of where they do advertising without advertising. You know, a lot of Japanese companies tend to do this, where they won't be aggressive about telling people that this game is out,
which is ridiculous, you know. Anyway, let's move on here. Next up, Mr. Mike Madden. All right, he goes, with all the deals for the new Xbox One S, do you think Microsoft is happy with how the system is selling? I think they are, because, you know, they outsold Sony last month. You know, I know what he's trying to say. He's trying to say, oh, maybe they're not selling enough, so they have to bundle it and shit, you know?
Man, fucking sweeten that deal, man.
Yeah, man, shit. Like they outsold them by 100,000. That's a lot. I know some guys are like 100,000. That's nothing. That's a lot, guys. Stop with the Sony bullshit.
Look at the biggest thing that, you know, like, you know, Tony's reading that book, the console game, the console war book.
Console Wars, baby.
We're going back to console war, but there's one chapter that literally talks about, like, how they decided to add fucking Sonic the Hedgehog to the bundle it in with the Genesis.
Yeah, and the Japanese guys were like, but Altered Beast, that's the game. It's like, no one cares about Altered Beast anymore.
you just proved Chris right.
Yeah, that is true, you know, in America at least, but that's our biggest arcade game. It has to be it. What are you talking about? I'm going to stop. I was about to go off on a rant about Sega of Japan. It's like, if you guys had only listened, you know, in the later stages like you did in the first stages, you still would have been around. Anyway, what was the question again? Oh, yeah, Microsoft, Xbox One. Yeah, bundles are good. I don't know if there's anything more to say about that.
Bundle it with something cool. I'm nothing.
So basically, he's trying to ask, are they getting desperate now with these bundles?
No, they're sweetening the deal. I mean, you have a cheap console and it comes with a really good game.
Yeah, I see, man. I don't care if you're Sony or Xbox, man. If I smell that fanboy a mile away, man, I smelled that question. I'm digging in. I'm asking you what he's really asking. Is Microsoft getting desperate now?
Yeah, no, they're not getting desperate. As a matter of fact, I think they've turned the tables. We'll see what happens when the PS Pro comes out. Yes. But for right now, the Xbox One S has positioned itself as a better buy than the PS4 Slim.
That is true.
Oh, why does any of this matter? We're just in a holding pattern until this next half generation of consoles comes out. Like, it seems like putting this under the microscope every month is fairly pointless until things key off again in the next year or so.
Brett, people need something to do between, man.
Oh yeah. By the way,
I mean, besides playing fucking video games.
has anybody seen an advertisement for the PS4 Slim?
No.
I haven't seen
Again,
that
that's usually
either.
that's usually
anything for
Sony
VR
free
either.
VR.
I know. I've seen stuff for VR though. The Taco Bell shit.
Yeah, the
I've seen
only
that.
one the Taco Bell commercials are the only time I see PSVR advertisement.
Hey, that's more than Slim.
Yeah, which has nothing.
Nothing. They ain't got shit. The most advertising I saw for Slim was the leaks. That one actually came out. No one talks about it anymore.
I'm going to say this. I mean, why does it need to be? Here's the thing. Why does it really need to be advertised?
Because it's a new product, man.
It doesn't need to be. Did Sony ever advertise any of the slimmer versions of their consoles? No. What they did was they advertised the bundles.
Show it. No, you're right though. They always advertise the bundles, but
They always so I'm thinking the time that you will start seeing any sort of PlayStation commercials is if they decide to put it into some sort of funky bundle, like hey, it comes with Uncharted 4, stuff like that.
Why bundle that when the Pro's coming out in a couple months?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why not advertise it now? Because if you advertise it later, you're just going to contradict your PS4 Pro launch. So
yeah, I completely agree. There should be advertising now because it's going to be stupid to advertise it 2 months from now.
and it's all stupid because they got Sony's got 4 hardware SKUs coming out like 2 or 3 months from each other.
All right, so what do they have? They have the PS4 Pro, right? They got the PS4 Slim, PS4 Slim, PSVR, and
that's it.
Okay, you said 3. You said 4. So it's only 3.
I said 3.
Okay.
Did I say 4?
Yeah, you said 4. I'm like 4.
No, I said 3.
Yeah, it's weird, man. But
I don't know the new VR controller, whatever.
yeah. All right. Next question here from Mr. Daniel Smile. This is an interesting one. Is Phil Spencer better than Andrew House at running a gaming division because he actually plays video games? Lots of Xbox fans use this as a form of ammo. Who is and has been doing a better job overall? We'll answer that first part. Last. Okay, the second part last. Here's my thing. You don't need to play fucking video games in order to run a video game company. That is ridiculous.
Right.
Again, because I've been reading this book. The fucking Sega of America guys, they didn't play video games, but they marketed the fuck out of Genesis and actually beat Nintendo. You don't need to be a gamer. I mean, it's cool, right? It is cool if they've actually played video games, but let's just face it. Most of these guys are not video game players. They are just good business people, and that's what you really need.
That's all you need to be.
I don't understand. So Sony's winning this generation technically, and they're saying, well, Phil Spencer's better because he plays video games, but Sony's in the lead right now, and Andrew House doesn't play video games. So what does that say?
The only thing this is well, I mean, it's beneficial for him to play video games because he knows what he's talking about. But another thing that most people just see it as is Phil Spencer plays video games. So for the Xbox fans, he's more attainable, I guess.
Yeah,
he's more of like them.
Yeah, I mean that's also their old marketing strategy too. Because remember, Major Nelson used to be all over the place. He was the spokesman for the Microsoft brand.
I mean, he's still doing his thing though.
He's still doing his thing, but he's not like he used to be in the old days.
He's just a guy with a podcast now.
He's on Xbox Weekly and stuff.
He's on Xbox Weekly, but that's nowhere compared to what he used to do. He used to have hey guys, I'm gonna be at blah 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 in New York City on something 3rd Street. Come and meet me. Stuff like that.
So you're saying he's less accessible now?
I think he's a little more less accessible now than he used to.
All right. What else do you guys have to say about this? Do you actually need to play games in order to be a good?
No, you don't need to play. You don't need to play games, but I think it does a lot for the. I do agree with with Carlos that yes, it does make it seem like that person might be a little bit more accessible. He's not above everybody. He's down in the trenches playing the same games that we are.
But does that make him a better executive though?
No, it doesn't. It has nothing to do with it. It's just good for marketing speech to for the people to the people that are actually buying the products. Like, hey, I hear that our guy has got blah 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 amount of points.
Mark Cerny.
Yeah, well,
like our boy Mark Cerny, who has a really high freaking trophy count.
I would say there needs to be a study on this because the argument doesn't hold water. If Andrew House doesn't play games and Sony's leading, and Phil Spencer is like the gamer CEO or whatever you want to call him.
Hey Chris, maybe Phil Spencer should spend less time playing video games and actually managing his company.
I'm not taking anything away from it, but and honestly, it's not his fault. Dan Matrick didn't play video games, but he also doesn't have a soul. So he kind of ran everything into the iceberg and jumped out, and Phil Spencer had to go man the ship after that. So I give him a lot of credit. Because he didn't start that mess.
So Phil Spencer is
he was part of it, though. Just be.
Yeah, it was. But Dan Matrick was right at the head. He was running that ship.
He was saying that there was no iceberg in the way.
Well, if you don't like the iceberg, you can buy a 360. That's what.
Wait, are you saying Don Matrick was the Iraqi guy? Nothing to see here.
So you're saying Phil Spencer is like the Jeff Johns of Microsoft?
Oh shit. He did he give them a rebirth?
He's doing a good job, yeah. But I don't think that's a metric for success. You could say if he's likable, but does that sell more systems? Like, does Phil Spencer himself, being a gamer, sell more systems? I'd say no. There's no data to prove that that's true. And in fact, Andrew House is not a gamer, and he sold more systems. So okay.
Yeah, I like that answer. All right. Anybody else want to chime in on this?
I don't think it matters as long as you surround yourself with people who know what they're talking about.
Yes.
Like I've worked in tattoo shops, and actually one of the more successful tattoo shops I worked in, the owner wasn't, nor had they ever tattooed. They had pierced. They had a fundamental understanding of the industry, but they brought to the table a different set of talents and then relied on me and the other artist, or the other head artist, as, the kind of brain trust of, what do we need when we need to build a new shop? How many rooms? How should we advertise? That kind of thing. And would actually listen to us and then, take that into account and then base a decision on that. But then she took marketing classes and all kinds of other stuff that she wouldn't have had time to do were she an artist. And I imagine the same goes for, a video game company. Like, no, you don't have to know video games. You have to know how to run a company, and you have to employ people who know video games, and then you have to listen to them when they tell you something and listen to your audience. And, it's about being a good business manager or a good executive as opposed to knowing the games themselves. And I imagine, being a gamer gives you a certain perspective, and maybe being good at both of those things makes you kind of a powerhouse, but evidence wouldn't necessarily show that. Evidence would say that they're two separate things. But I don't think we need to minimize the importance of somebody, who has the ear of somebody powerful needs to know what the fuck they're talking about. Somebody needs to play video games in this company that makes video games, and somebody who's making those games needs to listen to other people's opinions if they don't know them themselves.
Yeah, totally. I agree, man. I mean, again, going back to this book again, Tom Kalinske, right, who was running Sega of America at the time, he didn't know any fucking thing about video games. He sold toys. He was Mattel. He's the guy who came up with Masters of the Universe. That's the shit he knew, right? He didn't know about video games. So what did he do? He got a bunch of people that knew about video games, studied his ass off, and turn Sega of America around, So you don't actually need that. It does look cool if you actually play the games, but not necessary, And if you guys are using that as ammo, you're fucking stupid. Let's just be honest. All right, last question here. What are your thoughts on the latest supposed new NX leak for the controller? Oh, let me see if I can pull this up as a picture. But Chris, I'm jumping straight to you, man. What do you make of this nonsense?
Well, I'll just say I don't know if it's real or not. A lot of people have picked it apart and says compositive and stuff. It's probably fake, but the weird thing is there's a patent drawing that looks like that thing he's
Yes.
holding, right? The U shape, and I've seen that before. I mean, all right, if that thing is real, the thing that he's holding in his hand, not necessarily the dock in the back or whatever, that could all be pasted together, and who knows what the hell that is. But if that's the thing, it looks like a fucking toy, man. It looks like crap.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this thing is actually real, but it could be 3D printed because we do that nowadays.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways to fake stuff, but.
All right, let me see if I get this thing on screen. I'm gonna do that weird, Inception shit.
Share screen.
Actually, wait, I could do this. Hold on a second. Okay, there you go.
Share the image.
Yeah, I just figured that out. There you go. You guys see it?
Yep, keep talking.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep talking. I mean, obviously for the people watching at home, I have it stuck there. But yeah, that's it right there. It looks really, really weird. The thing is, again, I'm going to err on the side of this is just a rumor. I can't vouch for this, but at the same time, I wouldn't put it past Nintendo to create something like this. But here's the thing no one's talking about. Look all the way on the left-hand corner. Is that the console?
Right. It's this tablet docked on something. Well, it's kind of weird because it's is he supposed to be playing Zelda on the screen in the background?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. And also notice how the controller has it has like two blue buttons. The console also has that too. You even see it reflected in the desk.
I think this is fake.
Oh, I think okay, Brett. Fake as in Photoshop or fake as in 3D printed?
Fake, I think, is in Photoshopped.
Okay.
Yeah, the console in the background looks a little bit weird.
All right.
Yeah, the reflection in the table is not correct. The console on the right looks like it's floating as per its shadow. The shadow from the hand onto the controller looks very much like, just I've seen that exact effect done by like, you just kind of, cut the hand out on a layer and then you brush out. Like that's how I frame my tattoos. And the saturation on both the blue and the green buttons seems to be way too high. Also, the shine on the start select button seems just a little bit.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think this is just composite together, but I think this is what it's going to look like.
Oh, it may. I'm just saying that this image itself strikes me as photoshopped.
Actually, the U design makes sense because like you're supposed to. The idea, the rumors we've been hearing, is supposed to snap the controllers off, right, and dock this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Put them together, right? If this looks bizarre, this fucking looks weird, and I don't know. I think this design is terrible.
And are those thumbsticks?
Yeah.
Or they look like nubs, though.
Yeah,
they look like the 3DS nubs.
Yeah.
So, dude, just hit up. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, because I went off for a second.
But you went off for a sec.
But because I want to check the chat room. Let's see what those guys are saying. They're not saying anything about it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I'll just say if this is, I wouldn't put it past Nintendo to do some. I believe that the controller is going to be really fucking stupid, like always. Because Nintendo loves doing that shit, which is annoying. That's the main reason I don't mess around with Nintendo for like the last 20 years because their controller is always so weird. Then Nintendo 64 had a really crazy controller. The GameCube was really weird. The fucking Wii was weird, and the Wii U was weird. So I expect this one to follow suit.
You expect it to be just as weird as everything else.
Well, it doesn't look comfortable either.
It doesn't. It looks.
So I'm guessing those other parts on the side connect to that weird screen that's sitting back there, right?
I guess.
Yeah, that was in the other patent drawing too. That you're supposed to push, like, snap this controller into the sides of this thing and then carry it around. I guess.
Yeah.
The idea.
Yeah, but that's the only thing I'll say. I'll still maintain this is actually a physical existing thing. It's just like a 3D print or something. If it's fake,
you think that's a physical thing? You don't think that's Photoshop?
Remember, the last one was 3D printed too.
Yeah, but you don't think that's a Photoshopped image?
I don't. Okay, I see the evidence you're presenting, but it doesn't look super Photoshop like I would expect.
Have you ever seen a button that saturated in real life
with the green, right?
Or even the blue, like it's completely independent of like overhead light source. At least it looks like it to me. Manny, am I wrong here?
Yeah, the blue, the green and the blue are obviously adjusted, and the shadowing on the hand is way too even to be on something. Also, if you ever know anything about lighting, I can show you here. Let's see, you have something white.
What you showing me? You showing stuff?
I'm gonna get a visual aid here. Okay, so I
Right.
have this random piece of paper, right? So here's my hand. Usually on the shadow side, when you look at you'll see when there's something when the light is actually shining on there. So it's like, okay, let me see how it is. It's a little weird to show, but like usually light reflects off. The light will reflect. Like you can see. Here you go. See my hand? Okay, I have this orange piece of paper underneath here. It's creating an orange underneath the shadow.
Yeah.
That also happens with white as well. So if you have a white controller on the bottom of your hand, you will also get a little bit of white reflected light onto your hand. That picture does not have that.
Ah, very interesting. That's why I like having artists on the fucking show.
Well,
I mean, also, I do that for a living.
I blame Nintendo for this either way, if it's fake or real, because put out some fucking
making us wait so fucking long, you know?
Yes, put out some real information so we stop getting these Photoshop weird fucking concepts, or just people figure out, look, I found an NX. You know, it's like, okay, no, we don't believe it at this point. We have people like me who know Photoshop like that. Okay, this is fake. All right, it's fake. Nintendo, this is still your fault. Put out some fucking information.
I completely agree, man. I mean, remember the PlayStation event, right? Everybody said, oh, it was really disappointing. To me, I was happy because we finally got an end to these stupid rumors, you know? Stop it, Nintendo. Put some information out there. This thing's supposed to be coming out in March. Why aren't we seeing anything yet?
I feel like with the Sony event, the reason why it was stupid and redundant is because everybody had seen the fucking console everywhere.
Yeah. It's insane. All right. So that's pretty much it for the show. So let's do the contest thing again. Like we told you at the top of the show, nobody got it, even though it was an easy fucking like one, you know, for you guys. You didn't get it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to play you most or all of the song. I'm just going to do it straight out of my phone here. So for the MP3, so they're going to hear it just fine. I'm going to edit it in there. But for you guys in the, chat right now, just listen to this. I think I got the right song here.
Yeah, it works.
You like how I did that blend out?
Yes.
Okay, so no, we're not going to tell you what the game is, but we're going to give you some clues. Yes, it's based off a really big fucking animated movie that came out in the early 90s. It was one of the biggest Sega games of all time. It sold millions and millions of copies, and it had great motherfucking animation.
Great animation, and the composer is a very well-known video game composer.
And I'm going to tie it in with the book you're going to win if you get the answer to that. There's a story because Nintendo thought all the Sega games were shit, right? They're like these guys produced low quality dreck, right? One of the executives during one of these CESs, he goes to Sega's booth, he sees this gameplay, and he's like, "Whoa, this is actually really good. This is quality shit," So there you go, people. Good luck. We're gonna announce a winner on Thursday. Hopefully somebody gets it. Jesus. Come on, guys.
Yeah, now now we're gonna have to just make it like really stupid easy like things now.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's the first level of Sonic the Hedgehog called?
Yeah, right. Shit. Oh my! Okay.
How is it possible to get 100% in Super Mario Brothers World?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Okay, we're not okay. We're gonna wait till the contest is over. But 2 of the guys in the chat got it. Thank you.
Bam.
And I know these guys personally, so I could contact them if I need to. But yes, we're gonna wait until Thursday. We're gonna give the guys, that are listening to MP3s. I want to see if they actually get the fucking song. Jesus, man. But anyway, but after that, Manny, what are we gonna be giving away? Do you still have that around?
Yes, I do. After that, we're going to be giving away this.
Now, what you're seeing here, there's a drawing by Manny, signed by Cam Clark, the voice of Liquid Snake.
Yes.
This is pretty big, people. What you'll have to do to get that, we'll worry about that later, but it will be challenging, but I guess we'll make it, Manny, more age appropriate.
We'll have to make it more age appropriate. We'll probably have to make it like about the most recent Metal Gear game or something. I don't know. How many cartwheels can you do as Raiden?
Yeah, right. Hold on a second. They're like, yo, man, can I get the game now? I was like, hold on, man. Wait till the contest is over. Oh, man. You guys hear me typing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You type like this.
Right. Oh, and the last thing I want to do here. Okay, so Coalition, because we're getting up there, people. We got sent by Netflix the first 7 episodes of Luke Cage, Hero for Hire. So if you go to the site right now, JJ and Gary did a non-spoilery overview of the first 7 episodes, 26-minute podcast. So check that out just to get hyped for the show. But of course, you know what that means, right? Next weekend, because that's when the show is going to debut. Manny, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
So that'll be a nice treat for you guys right before Comic-Con, too.
Yes. Which
it's my other plug. See, Manny, I'm a master of this shit.
You're good. You're good. You're good, you. You're good, you. Yes, New York Comic Con. You will see. I will be there. I will be there at New York Comic Con, and you'll probably also see Tony because I am what is called an anchor point. So if you ever you're looking to find Tony, you'll probably also you just hang around enough. Tony might pop around. So.
Yeah, because the thing is, I'm just going to be honest, most of the time I'm just hanging out in the press room and stuff, so you won't catch me as easy as Manny, because you're going to be where?
I'm going to be at J18, Artist Alley Table J18, right next to Kari Randolph. We will be promoting our new book, Mosaic, which is coming out the following week on the 12th, which me and Kari will be doing a signing at Jim Hanley's Universe.
Sweet.
Oh, big time.
Ooh, that's big time right there.
Yep. So we got a double whammy. So we're gonna keep talking about that, and we're gonna, I'm gonna have. I recently on my Twitter I did a big old art dump as to what Metal Gear prints you guys might want to see, and I'm gonna take a lot of those into consideration into what I'm gonna print, because I have to print this week, and I'm gonna have Solid Zero Substance with me. If you pick up one of those, if you pick up one of those, I'll do a free sketch for you inside of them. So it's gonna be a good show. At least I hope it is.
Yeah, it should be fun, man.
And not to mention, the day before there's an art show that my artwork and a lot of other artists of color will be part of. I can't remember exactly the full details, but I'll probably tell you a bit more when Thursday hits.
Yes. And as usual, I mean, this is a little bit early to say this now, but that episode of Throwdown for that week will be a day earlier, because of Comic-Cons.
It's a New York Comic Con episode will be a little bit earlier because obviously me and Tony have to be at the show. I have to be, at Thursday. On Thursday, I'm actually going to be, on Wednesday, I think I'm going to be actually in New York, so I'm not going to be in.
All right, so I'll be here for you guys on Wednesday, and I purposely made sure.
If anything, I'll just drop by your house and do the freaking podcast from your place.
It works, man. Go to Valentino's,
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap this up. So thank you for watching and listening. Leave us your questions in the comments section on the Coalition or on YouTube, so we can answer them on next week's show. Make sure to follow the Coalition at thecoalition.com. Also help support the site by donating to the Patreon page. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Throwdown Show. Links are available in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco and it's joined by Emilio Lopez.
I'll see you later, guys. We're going to go back to look for 11.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
The Vikings are 3-0, and One Punch Man season 2 was announced. All is good.
Oh, nice.
Yo, man, where's my
Brett.
Attack on
Yeah.
Titan?
Yeah, where's that?
Yeah.
Watch One Punch Man.
Yeah, right. Watch it. And Brett Murdoch.
Pleasure as always, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Throw down episode 103 later.
Deuces.
Peace.
I'll be the same.
It is.